Hey guys, what's up, man? Back for another episode. This is a little different. I'm not used to doing like streams like this. This is brand new. So if anybody has any comments, questions, criticisms, you guys can go ahead and put in the chat. Damn, I have to switch everything from blue to red because I don't like the color blue. I'm more of like a red person. Speaking of which, first Amender, who's in the debate we're going to review, likes the color blue, and I don't like that color even more because he likes it. So weird. Anyways, today we're just going to do a quick overview, probably like a quick skimming of the debate that was with Rachel Wilson and also First Amender. It's going to be brief. I know that these things can be boring. I mean, just depending on who's covering the stream. And then that's the thing, though, is like I've seen people cover debate reviews before, and they've been absolutely boring. Like they're sitting there watching this. Maybe the commentary's like not that good. Or I don't know, either or. Sometimes I've like tuned into debate streams and then I've tuned out. It just depends on who's covering the debate stream. So hopefully I could do it somewhat type of, some justice today covering this debate stream. I've been doing debates for at least approximately, I would say, maybe it's an exaggeration if I say like a year and a half, but I've been doing it at least solidly for at least a year. And I love doing this. I don't run from debates. I love doing debates, but also even more so, I like watching debates with opponents who I'm going to be seeing in the future. First and foremost, I appreciate the people that are watching right now and taking the time out to follow my stream and also follow my channel as well too. And also any future subscribers, if you do see this, click the link, like, and subscribe. That's also good. I love it. I don't mind if you, as soon as I get the super chats, that's going to be good. I don't mind that at all. I love it, actually. But we're going to get to it. One of the debates that we're going to cover is the feminism debate that my future opponent on the 11th of next month, I'm going to be doing a debate with First Amender. And then not to mention that, but we're going to see him in action on another debate. The reason why I don't want to cover a debate that he's done with Andrew Wilson or another debate is because I don't want to hypothetically give the game away. Because if I'm talking about a debate that I'm going to do with a future opponent, I'm going to be probably talking about my own strategies and things. I don't want to do any of that stuff, like meaning showing my hand. But what I will do is cover my opponent with one of our sisters in Christ, Rachel Wilson here. I'm going to be covering like the response, the approach, everything when it comes to the debates. He's a very intriguing individual. I think that when we talk about Rick and Morty, the guy looks like Morty, like a definite Morty, but with a very feminine voice. I'm not even lying when I say this. First Amender, I don't even know, and I'm not even going to go there. But anyways, he's a particularly odd individual. We're going to go into this debate. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a breakdown and kind of a play-by-play because obviously I could sit here and just watch the funny debacle that happens on camera, but alas, we're going to check out the debate, and here we go. All right.
Question. You said no. Nope, fair enough. We can move on.
Shut your little twink mouth. Go back. Shut your little fag twink mouth, okay? Because I said what I said is. All right, I'll calm down.
YouTube may not allow that.
Already, TOS already. Rachel Wilson is just with the TOS. You know what? He's laughing, but I don't blame her for saying this because what did I say? He looks like Morty from Rick and Morty, and then he's got the voice that's worse. At least Morty's voice was more tolerable. Like, all right, let's go. This, let me replay this because this is hilarious. Rachel Wilson's a beast, first and foremost. I know Andrew Wilson is just really brutal in debates, but Rachel Wilson is a whole different animal entirely. Let's play this again.
Now I'm just going to ask a simple question. Are women who do not follow Christianity and choose careers damned or spiritually corrupted?
No, I would never say that, you fucking psychopath.
Okay, so no. Okay, that's good. It's at least a no. So I'll give you, at least you have something in your head there. That's working.
Strawmanning
That's good.
He is lying,
no, I just asked a simple question. You said no. Nope, fair enough. We can move on.
Shut your little twink mouth. Shut your little fag twink mouth, okay? Because I said, what I said is.
Wow, that's crazy. I can watch that over and over again. That's crazy. Like, Rachel Wilson kind of says what is on my mind and probably what is on what's on a lot of people's minds. But I don't say this. Obviously, that's TOS if you say that. James responds, hey, I don't think that's going to go well with YouTube's guidelines. All right, hey, let's continue. That's crazy.
All right,
I think
calm
even
down.
YouTube may not allow that yet. I think they're moving in the open free speech direction. Hey, everybody.
Oh, crap. So this is on First Amender's channel? So hopefully I don't have to hear it because, I mean, God, I wish, you know what? Yeah, this is on his channel. Hold on. Let me see. There has to be. Let me go ahead and check because this is crazy. I don't want to go to First Amender's channel to watch his content. Here we go. Finally. Based. Better. Okay. I think that if we go to his channel, I'm going to have to hear his kind commentary and his little side banter. I don't want any more First Amender than I have to tolerate in a debate or have to review any debate with his little commentary. That's crazy. I will not have it. I mean, I have to have an appetite by the time I'm done with the stream. I don't want to just eject all of this beautiful Coke right here. Anyways, let's get back to it.
Tennessee. We're in talks with the Wilsons. For example, Rachel Wilson here right now and Andrew Wilson as well about debates in person at that conference. It's going to be tremendous. Who knows? Maybe even old First Amender will make it. He has a way with people, to say the least. Also, folks, if you haven't yet, please go to our Facebook. This is no joke. We are trying to build our Facebook.
Wait, hold on. If First Amender's channel had taken the expletive and kind of deleted it, or at least kind of like censored it, I'm hoping that James's does, because I don't want my channel to be doxxed. Rachel Wilson is based, by the way, but that may be too based for YouTube. All right, let's continue. This is crazy. First Amender is just insane. First of all, his rhetoric is just ridiculous, but we're just going to cover a little bit of this. But if Rachel Wilson starts handing out the F slurs, I'm probably going to skip that. As based as that might seem to the majority audience here, I do have to skip that because I want to spare my channel the deletion or it being taken down because of that. But yeah, although I do appreciate her verbiage, I support it 1,000%. YouTube may not like that, but let's continue.
Facebook, because we realize people are going there. They're leaving X, they're leaving YouTube, and they're like, hey, Facebook, that's the future. Want to encourage you. It's probably not really the future, but it's actually the opposite. But nonetheless, we are building our Facebook, and
the annual reports are devised in law. Feminism destroys society. We ought to observe that anti-feminism to result in higher quality of.
Obviously, I'm going to skip through some of his. I'm going to listen to a little bit because there's only so much of him I can tolerate. But I do think it's good to add some of his context there because we have to know what we're going to destroy in reference to like the debate that we're going to head into. I think one of the things that Rachel and Andrew Wilson do is they're active listeners in the debate. I debate a lot of people and they don't really listen to anything I say, which they can't even steelman some questions that I have in debates. That's why it's extremely important to be an active listener because somebody can hand you the rope to which they can hang themselves with by just talking. Sometimes letting people talk and letting them hand you the tools to their own demise is great. That's why I think it's important for us to at least listen to some, or at least have a little bit of tolerance to what First Amender is saying right now.
Living standards, not its reverse, for hypothesis to hold valid. So I decided to plug in the numbers so you do not have to. I grab my HDI numbers here and I grab my GII numbers here. And here is the actual tables for you to see for yourself of the HDI indexes compared to GII indexes. The countries I did not include, but not because I hate them, it's because they have incomplete data. The result? Well, if you actually use the Pearson correlation coefficient for non-statistics majors, this basically just determines a positive or negative correlation of the data. What I did get is that I got an R value of negative 0.91. For people who are not statistics majors, that shows that we have a very, very strong negative correlation. And you can actually see that graphically here where you see as HDI is increasing, that GII also decreases. With an R value of negative 0.91, and there has been over 170 values that have been put into it between each country, the two-tailed p-value is effectively less than 0.0001. By that conventional criteria, this difference is considered to be extremely statistically significant. Because of the very high statistical negative correlation, the hypothesis that feminism makes life worse for people or its results in the destruction of society, at bare minimum, the antithesis is actually the case. At bare minimum, mathematically, it is inversely correlated, meaning that when there is more feminism, not less, has higher quality of living standards. But as I have read her book, The Occult Feminism, The Secret History of the Women's Liberation, it became very apparent. Rachel Wilson, in rhetoric, characterological traits, and internal motivations, is very similar to Judge Claude Frollo, the villain in Hunchback of Notre Dame. Ad hominem? Yeah, but also please review this table. If we look at the aspects of Rachel Wilson and Judge Claude Frollo and as a part of moral crusades, Rachel Wilson frames modern society as degenerate and corrupted, advocating for strict traditionalist values.
Yeah, that's based, actually. So right now we're seeing that, I mean, of course, First Amender has, quote unquote, maybe according to him, has done his homework. So Rachel Wilson frames society as degenerate and corrupted. It is. We're leading in that direction right now as LGBTQ. The transformer people are now leading a rebellion. I think Trump is doing a great job fighting that. I don't think that Trump would have had to lead a campaign so that way we can at least take this off the map, or at least the table when it comes to affecting kids or anything like that. If there was nothing to fight, right? There has to be a great evil. And here's the great debacle when it comes to red pill. And this is something that Grid One has stated. He's probably listening right now. He often states things like, or he stated that the red pill can't exist without feminism. That's why you need this. Well, that's equivalent to saying Christianity can't exist without sin. But it's like, well, of course, you can't have light without darkness. There has to be a response. There's always an approach and a response. So when Rachel Wilson is being framed as this, as a modern day, looking at society as degenerate and corrupted, I think that this is totally correct. I think that if we are leading down the path, she's a Christian ethicist. We also look at this advocating for strict traditional values. I don't see the harm principle in society with this. Judge Claude Frollo sees Paris as sinful, corrupt, believing he must impose strict religious moral order on society. Yeah, but you see the delineation. There's like strict religious moral. This could be like Muslim is a religion. There's a strict moral order on society and Afghanistan, but you see how this could be kind of fallacious to some degree and disingenuous when we think about this. We know what her values are. Traditional, meaning American traditional values that have co-opted, like I would say Christianity, things like this in America today, which has also led to a feminist route. Let's continue.
And Judge Claude Frollo sees Paris as sinful and corrupt, believing that he must impose his strict religious moral order on society. She has an obsession with control. She advocates for rigid gender roles, strict social hierarchy, and the rejection of modernity on the basis of her religious teaching. And Judge Claude...
Good to see you guys in the chat. I see Vibe. I grew up... Matter of fact, hold on. This guy right here. I have to give this guy a... I'm not going to put you in timeout or anything. I have to give you a... Okay, Agrilopoulos, I have to give him a wrench real quick. Let me see if I can do it via my YouTube stream. I'm going to do this while I continue watching this. Good to see all you guys. Vibe in the chat. Of course, Christian, based as hell. Let's continue with his prattle.
But Frollo tries to control Esmeralda, Quasimodo, and Paris itself to fit his...
So he also says that Rachel Wilson advocates for rigid gender roles, strict social hierarchy, and also the rejection of modernity on basis of her religious teachings. This is already... So here's the thing with First Amender, already disingenuous, and I can tell you why. This isn't her religious teaching. She's not a teacher. She's not in clergy. She doesn't do anything. This is not their belief system. This would get ripped to shreds by me in a debate. And I point this out. This is where we think recall should take place in a debate. This is why I was talking about the active listening in debates. Right now, she advocates, he's saying that he's doing a comparison to something that's possibly bad, right? And this is why it's disingenuous to even do this. This is really a bad comparison. and it's a false equivalent to me, in my opinion. I can point this out. It advocates for rigid gender roles. Correct. Because I don't think that we should have genetic dead ends in society. I would say mutilating a female body and then saying, hey, this is the male version of all this, that two women can't produce a child together. They can't. Two men can't have a butt baby or a booty baby, whatever you want, or a baby from anal cavities. This doesn't happen. It can't. Otherwise, in prison, we'd just be having a bunch of babies being born. If that was the case, it doesn't happen. You're a genetic dead end. This is why I'm an advocate for this, and I think that this is based. I don't think that there's any harm principle when we think about this. Strict social hierarchy, yes. Because I do think that men give women rights because we have to defend them. Women don't defend their rights. They have to depend on men to defend these rights. So, and also there's other social hierarchy that we have, like the man being the head of the house. If somebody breaks in, you don't want to send the wife to the door as the man says, I did it last time for you. These social hierarchies are there for a reason. Who are the only class of people that have babies? Women have babies, right? And the rejection of modernity on the basis of her religious teaching. No, this is the rejection of modernity on the basis of Christianity. She doesn't teach anything. She's not a teacher. She's not a part of clergy, any of this stuff. Andrew Wilson also doesn't lead and say, I'm an Orthodox Christian. You should do this. He doesn't give out prescriptions and tells people what to do as far as like ordering people in mass and saying, you need to convert. You need to convert. And you get a conversion like Oprah. They don't do this. Matter of fact, what they do is they take their own ideology as far as secularism and turn it on its ear and just shows you how faulty this is. That's all they do. She doesn't come in and say, you need to convert to Christ. She doesn't do any of this stuff. So already half of this sounds based, and then the rest of it is just, you're just making this assertion, her religious teaching. Does she go out there and proselytize to people or evangelize? She doesn't do this. Her religious, this is what I'm getting from this. So they're comparing this to Judge Claude Frollo, meaning tries to control Esmeralda, Quasimodo, and Paris itself to fit his rigid religious ideology. Once again, we're just going to continue. This is crazy.
Religious ideology. Under a religious justification, she uses Christianity for the foundation of her worldview, often interpreting it in extreme ways. And Judge Claude Frollo uses religion to justify his actions, twisting the doctrine to suit his personal desires. There's a fear of corruption, seeing feminism, liberalism, and modern culture as inherently corrupting forces. And Judge Claude Frollo believes that gypsies' freedom and love are dangerous temptations that lead to moral decay. There's a projection in hypocrisy, in that she fixates on the perceived moral failings.
Once again in the chat, shout out to Relentless, my fearless mod. AG, I'm going to make you a mod. You're probably the last person I'm going to make a mod. I've said I'm only going to leave it at 1, and now I'm at 3. But I will say though, the first mod and the mod, because there's a priority when it comes to a hierarchy of even mods here. Relentless is number 1. I will say this. Relentless is probably going to be the last person I get rid of his mod. He was the first one when nobody wanted to be a mod or anything like that. I just made him a mod. He agreed to this. Also, he's Orthodox as well, too. Already, like, basis of everything else, this is great. But yeah, this is insane. Buddha says, I've seen him debate Andrew. He tries to confuse with meth mouth deflection. But base debaters see past his attack. I have a debate with him on the 4th. That's why I'm covering this. This is the crazy thing. He'll also assert that he won a debate during the debate, and then he'll tell you that you're wrong when he's wrong. And then he'll also say, well, I've already got you in a bind, and when he doesn't even have you in a bind. I think that if anybody can see past this, you're right. You're totally right about this. First Amender will also talk over you. He'll talk over you, and he'll prattle on when it's your turn. He'll interrupt you. I think that he's one of the people I'm going to have to put in his effing place when it comes to all this. Yeah. So the debate topic are Transformer women. Yeah, that's so. Matter of fact, let's show this on the screen. This is what's going to happen. Yeah, so that's going to happen on the 4th of next month. First Amender. If you're watching, I wish you the best luck. You're going to need it. I've been studying the shit out of this. I've been studying when it comes to like this transformer epidemic and reading stuff that's so disgusting, seeing parts of mutilated body, like that's so like, I wish I can bleach my brain after what there's things that I'm learning about this whole topic that I wish I could kind of unlearn to find this out. I'm pretty sure Rachel probably had the same experience when she was studying feminism. She probably had to read all their belief systems and things like this that she had to just fill her head with. Like, I can only imagine the torture. Just imagine what I had to go through studying for this debate against First Amender. Let's continue with this debate real quick, because this is crazy. First Amender is just insane. This is going to be a good debate. I look forward to this. Yes, Speakeasy's in the chat. I am preparing for the debate, but I'm not covering anything when it comes to Transformer stuff. I'm covering the feminism because, of course, if I was to cover the debate I'm going to have, I'd be giving the game away. And I don't want to do that because the First Amender's watching this. And if I'm going to whoop his ass like I do in Verbal Combat sometimes, or any other panel, I think that I just need to review the person and not the debate topic, because I think that he'll have the same tactics as it comes to like my debate, talking over opponents. I'm going to have to put him in his fucking place, to be honest. I'm not going to go ahead and just say, hey, this is what I plan on doing against him in the debate. First Amender would watch us and say, oh, I've already seen what you're going to do, So, yeah, so I have to kick this guy's ass. It's not, and the reason why I have to kick First Amender's ass, I can't just beat him. I have to bury this guy. Yes, definitely based. Cleaner says, yep. I can't just debate this guy. I have to literally bury this guy. The reason why I have to do this is because we have people like Ryan Radical Coder, other people like that. I'm not giving credence to all these people. But the reason why I have to debate him and bury him and incinerate the shit out of this guy is because guys like this resurface. We see this all the time, meaning like he's debated Andrew Wilson on this topic. He's debated Alex Stein on this topic. And this guy just won't die. He's just going to keep coming back and forth like Destiny with the January 6th debate, and he won't be put away. I think that I have to put a nail in this coffin when it comes to him on Speakeasy's channel. This debate will happen. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put this up because I'm pretty sure you guys saw this, but I like seeing this prompt anyways. And this is going to be a great debate. It's going to happen on the 4th on Speakeasy's channel. Swords of Reason, by the way. That's what this is. And by the way, hold on. Let me cross myself real quick. Lord have mercy on his soul, by the way. I wish him all the luck. He's going to need it. Let's get back to the debate. This is ridiculous. Just having to watch through First Amender's prattle right now. But he's got some, I think he's got some great points. Yeah, Speakeasy. It's pretty base, right? I like it, actually. I had to animate it, though. The crazy thing is I feel like I'm there with Rick and Morty, but, I mean, Rick isn't present. It's the... I don't want to say it because it's COS, but it's First Amender. All right, let's continue. All right, back to this. First Amender says fear of corruption. Rachel Wilson, he puts in the category of sees feminism, liberalism, as monoculture as inherently corrupted forces. Yes, feminism is corrupt. Liberalism is mostly corrupt. There are some liberal ideas that maybe we can even agree with, like egalitarian adjacent things, but not completely egalitarianism because we need a hierarchy. And modern culture, yes, right now that's been co-opted by Antichrist agenda and more as inherently corrupted forces. Yes, to some degree, yes, I agree. That's the mainstay of the left. Also, it's compared to Judge Claude, which believes in the gypsies, freedom, and love are dangerous temptations that lead to moral decay. Yeah, that's a false equivalence already from the get-go. Also, on the bottom, projection and hypocrisy, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be super fallacious. He puts Rachel Wilson in the category of fixates on perceived moral failings of others while displaying her own contradictions. Contradictions, not contradiction. It could be the same thing. They both are similar, i.e., why is she, a woman, lecturing men if she believes in the Bible? She doesn't lecture men. She doesn't teach men anything. This goes back to when he said on the basis of Rachel Wilson's religious teachings, Rachel Wilson isn't a part of clergy. She doesn't teach men. She doesn't lord over men or lead men. She doesn't do any of that. That's why this is fallacious. I would have called this in the debate automatically. I mean, if we're thinking about critical thinking and also recall in a debate, it's really important for you to listen to people's opening statements and not interrupt them. A lot of people in debates, this is the first faux pas people make. They're on their phone and they're waiting for them to get through. No, pay attention to your opponent's first initial diatribe that they even come, because you can use their words against them. This is what people make as far as a mistake in debates. They won't listen to their opening statements. You can use their opening statements against them, because a lot of people make mistakes like this in opening statements, as First Amender made here. You can then use their words against them. They're handing you a noose from which to hang them with. So to me, it's like they're literally doing half your work for them. So right now it's like fixated. I'm going to read this again on personal moral failings of others. Of course, we can point on failed logic that other people make while displaying her own contradictions. What's the contradiction? He's saying that Rachel Wilson's a teacher. Rachel Wilson doesn't lead men, or she's not there to teach men or proselytize to men. Already, this is a contradiction and destroys itself. First Amender's imploding his own argument already. And this is being compared to Judge Claude, meaning Judge Claude condemned sin while struggling with his own sinful desires for Esmeralda. False equivalence again. Ridiculous.
Of others while displaying her own contradictions, i.e., why is she, a woman, lecturing men if she believes in the Bible? 1 Timothy 2:12.
And remember, ad hominem. All this is just ad hominem. There's no basis in reality. This is a definite false equivalent right now. And yeah, I would definitely call him out on this. This is crazy.
Judge Claude Frollo says, condemning sin while struggling with his own sinful desires for Esmeralda. There's a paranoia in a doom prophecy where she paints an apocalyptic picture of the West's downfall due to the social changes, and Judge Claude Frollo sees the arrival of gypsies as a sign of societal collapse and impending chaos. And then there is a fixation on the women's role, obsessed with policing women's behavior, viewing deviation from traditional roles as catastrophic. And Judge Claude Frollo fixates on Esmeralda as both a symbol of temptation as something that he must control and or destroy. In conclusion, I have proved the hypothesis that feminism hurts women is mathematically and statistically incorrect.
No, actually, he went on. He literally said in the last statement in ending, which I didn't catch the first part. I'm kind of contradicting myself. And by the way, I can use this for example. I didn't pay attention to First Amender's first part, but I'm just making an example of an example that I'm making right now. Kind of like Inception. An example within another example is me pointing out the fact that you need to pay attention to somebody's opening statement while I skip through First Amenders because his voice is intolerable right now. But it's extremely important. But I can call out the last part when he said that he proved the hypothesis that feminism hurts women. He can't use Rachel Wilson as an example in her failings because right now, even his contradictions that he displays as far as Rachel Wilson's antics that he says that she does, she doesn't contradict herself. Matter of fact, it's really fallacious for him to go into it like this. So,
correct. It is true that feminism at an empirical level helps women, and that I have provided my math in my presentation as to how I got to this conclusion. Also, Rachel Wilson is just like Judge Claude Frollo, the villain in Hunchback of Notre Dame. Do not listen to the arguments of Disney movies.
So he hasn't proved that Rachel Wilson's like a judge. He's making this assertion, and he hasn't been able to really demonstrate this because all of these can be disproven. She'll just say, yeah, I don't teach men. I don't lead men. Boom, that's it. And he can't really prove this. He can't show that she's a part of clergy and she proselytizes the people and she evangelizes the people. She doesn't do any of this stuff when it comes to lording over men or instructing men as far as biblical doctrine or any of this stuff. She doesn't do any of this stuff. We're all judges, mind you. I can call somebody out on their dumbass antics and behaviors. I can call out faulty rhetoric. We all judge. So it's like, it's just like Judge Claude. It's like the villain. He's called, I feel like calling First Amender a she. But anyways, calling Rachel a villain is crazy.
Movie villain would make into how to live your life. Thank you.
That was weak sauce.
Wow. Thank you very much for that opening.
Good luck,
from
First Amender.
We are going to kick it over to Rachel Wilson for her opening as well. I want to let you know, folks, if you have not yet, hit that like button.
When Rachel Wilson has a smirk and a smile, you already know it's a wrap. You already know the guy's cooked. Look at the two faces right now. First Amender's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm here, buddy. Golly gee willikers. It's swell weather. Waterfalls behind me. And Rachel Wilson's like, yeah. Whatever, bro. It's just going to step in and smash.
We do appreciate your support, and it lets YouTube know, hey, keep giving me more of this. With that, we'll kick it over to Rachel. Thanks very much. The floor is...
Oh, shit. I have to brace myself for Rachel's opening. And him right now, he's like, all right, well, I'm here.
It's all yours, Rachel Wilson.
Thank you, James. And I'd like to thank First Amender for that. Like, if Reddit was a person, Soy Jack meme, presentation, he even put a Disney movie in there. Like, what more could I ask for? Just a juicy, beautiful bait for me to start off this debate. So first of all, he starts with his lovely mathematical calculations of the harm and the feminism is good for women, using a bunch of data provided to you by NGOs, non-governmental organizations. There's a chapter in my book that goes over this information and tears it apart. And if he had I don't know that he read the book, because if he had, he would know that I do tear this data up in the book and prove that these NGOs that go into, like you saw his picture of the African women, right? These NGOs going into Africa, India, the few places in the world that haven't been completely overtaken by feminism yet, they go in there under the guise of, we're going to help women and children. And what I'm going to tell you is that this is code for depopulation. They have no interest in the health and welfare and well-being of random African and Indian women, these wealthy NGOs with billions of dollars at their disposal. Of course, they don't care about that. What they care about is pushing.
This is extremely important. If you pay attention to this, I'm just going to call it like I see it. So the problem with this whole debate right now, it isn't Rachel's problem. It's First Amender's problem. When you are debating a topic, it's best that you know everything about the subject that you are debating. Right now, I would consider her far more of a subject matter expert than he is. She's literally putting him through a gauntlet right now of sorts when she's talking about the data alone. And she called him out saying, you probably didn't read my book because it's evident because such and such. And she can cite all of this. So First Amender just looks like he just showed up and is waiting for, hey, well, I'm just here, buddy. We'll see what happens. And Rachel Wilson is like, yeah, this is prey right before me. It's just, and she basically said chef's kiss to his opening statement because he doesn't have any kind of defense for this. I appreciate Cole Vic for the raid. It's a base guy. Also, I will say this. If you guys can click like and subscribe to Cole Vic's channel, this is great. Be sure to subscribe, like his content and everything else. Also supports the Crucible, supports me as well too, and everybody. The Cool Verse has rated. Hey, I love everybody here. Thank you. I appreciate it. All the base people that support the Crucible are here. I'm reviewing Rachel Wilson's debate with First Amender. So yes, for sure. Subscribe to help my show. AG, I got to get you a wrench, by the way. Good to see you too. The Cool Verse is here. Definitely not the gay verse. Definitely not that, and not the panel verse. I think that's one and the same with the gay verse. Anyways, going back to here, we're going to handle some of this craziness when we talk about Rachel Wilson facing, I would say, the Spurg Fest that is First Amender. Anyways, let's get back to this. Yes, W Crucible. Yes. For sure. Good to see everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys and all of your support. Be sure to hit the like button, add subscribe as well too. Let's continue with the demolishing of First Amender. This is insane. Good to see you too, MG42. I don't know what the name means, but it's based as F. Yes, not one step back for sure. W Crucible, as always. Christ is God.
Vaccines on the population, birth control, getting everyone on birth control, pushing abortion, putting Planned Parenthood and the Marie Stopes International, which is like a European version of Planned Parenthood, in these places. Why? to control the population, to depopulate. And they also have a big agenda to push women into higher education. Well, you might hear that and think, well, Rachel, they just want the African women to, have a good education. They want Indian women to, get.
And that's one misconception about the Black community as far as females are concerned. Black women will often say, we're the most educated. No, you're the most graduated. The most educated, I would say, and I'm probably going to sound racist as hell for saying this, I would say Asian and white women. Most educated when it comes to this stats as far as education, as far as success outside of college, things like this. Blacks graduate a lot. But just because you graduate doesn't mean you're the most educated. I can graduate with a feminine studies degree or a gender studies degree, and I'd say that I'm most educated, but it's like, how is it applicable to the real world if we think about this? So to me, that doesn't really make any sense. But going back into this, let's
better jobs and have financial independence.
Also, I see Abe in the chat. What's up, Abe? Good to see your presidential ass up in my chat. That's good, man. Good stuff, man. Yes, Rattlesnake, Rachel, Wilson, and Marteza. Yes, I do agree. Me and Jake were going to do a debate, but I don't think he liked the prompt. I did also take Rattlesnake's position in a debate that he couldn't be in. So I took his place for, I think it was the Christian nationalism debate. I did do that. Good to see you too, Emmett. Good stuff, man. Good people, man. Emmett in his bird ASMR has entered the chat. If you guys want to subscribe to some amazing bird ASMR, subscribe to Abe's chat or Abe's channel and also Emmett's channel as well too. Support the people who I also consider colleagues as far as this venue, as far as the conservative side of things. So let's continue.
And they're just really caring billionaires. They're caring billionaire philanthropists, right? No, the reason they want women in higher education is this. The number one correlate worldwide, regardless of race, ethnicity, religious background.
Also, I know I'm offering some side banter here. So Cool Vic and Abe, let me bring attention to these people. And also J-Man, yes, 1K for sure. I actually met the watch hours that I'm supposed to get. And I guess YouTube has to review this or something like that. But back to this, I want to bring up Abe and Cool Vic. The reason why I'm going to bring them up and single them out is because oftentimes when we're dealing with topics like feminism, and I'm going to tell you where I'm going to conflate the two and the reason why I'm going to tie this button in. One of the reasons why I'm bringing up Honest Abe Dinkus from the chat, I'm calling him Honest Abe because so far he has been until otherwise I've seen. And Cool Vic, the reason why I'm going to bring up these two gentlemen is because they are married individuals. And we're talking about people who walk the walk and talk the talk. So let me give them their flowers. I think that when we talk about giving people their flowers, we need to acknowledge this because oftentimes marriage is a losing war to a lot of men out here. I listen to Cool Vic and then I hear kids in the background. I listen to Honest Abe and then I hear of him saying, yeah, me and my wife, such and such. I listen to these comments, and to me, we have to really think about this. This isn't just side banter from these gentlemen. When we see this, this is also influential propaganda. We're hearing about people in successful marriages or marriages that are continuing, meaning actively working right now. And these men are demonstrating this. So when they do debates defending these authentic, I would say the structure of a patriarchal structure as far as marriage, things like this, they are also continuing on this legacy that we want to see for the continuation of society in our kids' future. We see this. So you can map on Cool Vic's, I would say his ideology and Abe Dinkus's ideology down to societal norms. If we think about this, they can offer a prescription and say, look at me. I am now a person who is a walking prescription of the society I want to see as far as a Christian ethos that I see for the nation. So if we think about this, we also have to do this. I don't think it's spoken of well enough, but I'm going to do that right now. Give these guys their flowers because when people are married, I don't think it's spoken up. I think, Vic, you should brag about your marriage. Brag about this. Brag about the fact that you are having this marriage and that it's continuing. Because there's so much nihilism in the foray as far as debate topics, as far as the social community talking about these things. J-Man on my screen right now, also married, Orthodox also too. We have to think about this. Give these gentlemen their flowers because when they are defending these traditional norms, they're also actively demonstrating this at the same time. I'm not saying every relationship is perfect, but these gentlemen are people. I admire you, Abe. I admire you, Vic. I admire you, J-Man. I look up to you guys. Believe it or not, you guys could say I'm our public figure, role model, pro athlete. No, this isn't nothing compared to people that I look up to that can also maintain a marriage, which is a ton of work when we think about this. And not only this, but can map on a prescription onto society, which I look forward to as well, too. Zinga Harris also married in the chat, too. Orthodox as well, too. All these married people, Zinga, your flowers to you, too. Give these people their flowers. Because when we talk about doing debates and I'm defending marriage in a debate, it looks kind of like, who are you to talk about marriage when you yourself are still trying to find a wife? We have to think about this. So give these people their flowers. I know I'm beating a dead horse right now, but it has to be said right now. Rachel Wilson is one of the people that we're talking about. So when she's also defending against feminism, the thing that eats marriages alive, by the way, and also defending marital structures that we have in Orthodoxy, which is only a 9% divorce rate, think about this. Give Rachel Wilson and Andrew Wilson their flowers as well, too. Because when we think about this, they can also map onto their prescription for society as well, too, by not even uttering this, simply for the fact that Cool Vic is saying, my wife this. Abe is saying, yeah, I've been married this long. And Zinga Harris is saying, yeah, we've been married this long and we're based. That's good propaganda that we need. And these are just conversations that are had. This is beautiful. I love this. This connection that we have right now in our social circle is beautiful. And also, this is infectious. The nihilism that we have from adjacent red pill communities through a schism that's happened through the prescriptive lens, I don't think is good, but the descriptive lens, I think is good. But the schism that's happened that turned into nihilism, Cool Vic, Zinga, people like Abe Dinkus are fighting just by living this example and then uttering it, even just having a conversation. Anyways, I'm repeating myself ad nauseum here. Let's continue.
Cultural status or any other factor to low birth rates, below replacement birth rates, is women's access to higher education. I know that sounds controversial because we think women go to school, good thing, right? But we are on the verge of a catastrophic collapse in the birth rate. South Korea is at 0.7 births per woman. The women there aren't even replacing themselves, and if this doesn't drastically turn around, it could spell like literal doom. So he says, I'm drawing this apocalyptic scenario. Yes, I am, because Japan and Canada are now implementing things like helping people do euthanasia, assisted unaliving.
And then here's the thing, though, is like, not only do we have assisted unaliving with the unaliving tanks that we have, so I have to read. This is hilarious. My chat's hilarious. Also, my based ass mod over here saying, smash the like button and also subscribe. I have to read this. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Grammy. I love marriage so much I did it twice. My second wife is much better. All right, man. I wish I was like giving away like prizes. You'd earn the prize for the chat of the evening. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, so nihilism, it's crazy number of people who claim nihilism while they show through their actions the opposite. Their talk doesn't match their action. They live in decision. Reality, it's purposeful deceit. Yes, I totally agree with this. Yes, it's just insane. We have unaliving tanks in Canada, things like that. Yes, pumpkin heads. But here's the thing, though. We also have the 4B movement that's moving from South Korea. Their birth rate, I don't think they're going to have a South Korea at this rate if they keep coming up with this 4B movement. It's like, I forgot what the tenets were. I covered this in a previous stream at some time or did some content regarding this. But I think that 4B movement is feminism plus. And when people subscribe to feminism plus, it's just humanity deletion ad nauseum with a touch of nihilism. Chef's kiss in the negative for sure, but let's continue.
Of oneself, in an effort to solve the crisis they have of this massive aging population with no young people to support it. We're already seeing this impact supply lines, even here in the United States. This is why we have to keep importing labor. So huge problem. The NGOs want this. They want collapse, and it's so that they can remake the financial systems and move the grand chessboard around how they want it. It's social control. It's societal engineering. They've been at it for 200 years. It's well detailed in the book. By the way, the Kindle version is back up. Go get it now. And then also, he's talking about me pushing my religion and that I'm extreme. I'm not extreme.
Here we go. I'm going to call it right now. She's going to call him out for saying, I'm not a teacher. I'm not in clergy. I don't do any of this. This is fallacious. You're saying that I'm leading men. I don't claim any of this. All right, let's continue.
Whatsoever. And he said that, her hypocrisy is that why is woman speaking? If you believe in the Bible, why are you speaking? Well, First Timothy that he referenced talks about women staying silent in the church. The reason for this is that women are not supposed to be elevated above men. They're not supposed to be teaching men. They're not supposed to be in a position of authority, which I am not. I am simply here.
I called this. I haven't even seen this debate. I know it's an older debate. The reason why I'm covering this is because me and First Amender are going to be going I'm going to have a first round knockout. I already know. On the 4th on Speakeasy's channel, Swords of Reason, it's going to go down, and it's in hilarious fashion. Pay attention to my YouTube. I have a story. It's called the First Amender Story. And I released that, I think, earlier this week. Quite comical, actually. I think I'm a decent writer. But anyways, back to this. This is going to be, he's going to go down in hilarious fashion, but I think I have to put a nail in his coffin because I think he just arises from defeat. I don't know what it is. Pardon my burp, but I don't know if he's into just self-hurt or self-harm. But for some reason, it's like after he gets destroyed, he wants to do the same debate again, like Destiny doing Jan 6 over and over again.
Providing information and giving my worldview. I have no authority over James or First Amender or any other men that I'm aware of. And on top of that,
he's laughing because it's like she just took his whole initial statement that he just made, like literally got obliterated. He's getting incinerated through her opening. This is why it's extremely important during a debate to pay attention to your opening statement, the opening statement from your opponent. Because if we don't listen to this, there's nothing that we can, I would say, refute. I mean, they're literally handing you weapons while their opening statement's going on. If we talk, there are people that are like, I'll say it again, people that scroll, they're on their phone looking down and they're like, oh, I just want them to get through the opening statement so that way I can get to my part. No, you're missing so many nooses, knives, and guns from which they're handing you like she did. Rachel Wilson's demonstrating this in supreme fashion. He cited numbers. She said, hey, you haven't read my book. These are from NGOs. I shredded all this information. Then he came with the fallacious statement saying, hey, you lead men, you recite scripture, all this other stuff, and she's ripping them to shreds. I don't lead men. No, I'm silent. I'm not over First Amender or anybody else. So he's laughing right now. This is just pure cope on his end. That's the only thing I can think of. It's just copium plus.
My Christianity is not very extreme, right? I mean, I'm wearing a Metallica t-shirt. Let's go.
Based. All right, let's go.
We're not extreme. We're just the original version. I cover my head when I'm in church. I cover my head when I pray. I'm submissive to my husband. I follow whatever my priest says. So
based. I don't know if I can handle this much basedness. Is that even a word? She's just too based. This is insane. She's like, when I'm thinking about looking for a wife, I'm thinking for the attributes of a woman that has these characteristics, these traits, these values, and that would be the mainstay of the home, that wouldn't think that she's being enslaved by me. Because if you tell people in modernity now and you recite Rachel Wilson, what she's saying from a man, it sounds really toxic. But when Rachel Wilson says this, women are okay. They're just going to tolerate it. Somehow when it comes out of a man's voice, it's like misogynistic, plus it's all this stuff. And I'm jumping to 4B because Mark Tate's saying I should be a slave. Somehow they hear slavery when I say it. But when Rachel Wilson says this, he's laughing because he can't refute it. He's like, too rational for me.
It's really not so extreme. It's just more common sense. And what I'm trying to do is prevent, the extinction of the human race, which we're on the precipice of. And the majority of men can't get a woman to date or marry them anymore. And women are miserable on top of it. I have multitudes of proof showing that his little graphs with all the little data points, it didn't tell you anything at all. It didn't tell you if feminism lived up to the promises it made to women. It promised to make them safer, It promised to give them better quality of life and make them happier by liberating them from what, you ask? From the men in their lives who have the most vested interest in their well-being, from the men who care about them the most. And instead, it destroyed that relationship and put women's happiness specifically in the hands of governments, world government organizations. And we have massive studies, which we'll get into and we'll talk about, which show that this is not the case and that women are not safer, they are not happier, and they are, if anything, much.
Honestly, that should be the debate right there. That's a wrap. Like, but of course, we have to sit through some BS to try to hear the rest of his prattle. But I think that's the wrap. That's the end of the debate right there, as far as I'm concerned. If I was like teaming up with Rachel on this debate, I've teamed up with Rachel before. But I think if I was, and here's the problem for me, if I was debating with Rachel, I wouldn't have anything to add. She's literally saying everything, eviscerated his whole first statement, his initial diatribe and statement, the prattle he's had. She eviscerated all this and burned him alive. If I was to follow up with this and say, hey, this is my opening statement, what do I even say to follow up with this? Rachel's destroying me as her partner at the same time. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. I think you need a partner in a debate that's so good that you're the guy that's just sniper in the back. All you can do is just snipe because there's nothing left. She's slaughtering everything in the front. You're just hanging back and sniping. In this debate, if I was debating with Rachel, I would be the guy saying, but hold on, Rachel asks you a question. You need to answer that question. I see you trying to evade. I would be sniping like this in the debate, because Rachel is more of a subject expert than me on this topic, and him. That's the scary thing about doing these debates, is when you're debating somebody that really knows their shit when it comes to a topic, I'll cross myself. Lord have mercy on that person. Crazy.
More vulnerable to the exact dangers that feminism guaranteed to rescue them from. That's how I started researching it myself, because women like me, who my priority was having a family, I wanted to have children. This society is extremely difficult for us women. It might be great for the boss babes at TPUSA, but what if you just want to have 5 kids, raise them yourself, and keep a man and stay married in this current society? They make it practically impossible. We're all pressured to go to work. So I think feminism has been destructive for women and society at large, and that's my opening.
Thank you very much for that opening.
Like, that's a wrap. That's just insane. Like, here's the thing. Like, it must be nice to have Andrew right there to like practice with sometimes. If you're like, hey, I have this debate. Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. And your devil's advocate is Andrew Wilson. Like, how do you fight this? How do you fight anything that is in this home and in this marriage? How do you fight this? Oftentimes, I hear people saying stuff, oh, their arguments must be epic. And guarantee they probably don't argue because of her rhetoric right here. Andrew Wilson is probably one of the kindest people that I know personally. He's kind-hearted, really nice. Rachel Wilson in the debate, as you can see, vicious. Look, matter of fact, look at the expressions. That tells you enough already right now. I know it's a very surface level thing that I just pointed out right now, but this is very reminiscent of what we just heard right now. If we were to summarize their debate styles and their opening statements, Rachel Wilson's looks exactly like her face right now. Very stoic, to the point, dagger to the throat, end. That's it. It's end game with the Thanos snap already. Over on the other screen, his debate opening was like, well, I'm here. You know, it's gollies, you walkers. It's a swell day for a debate. This chair is comfortable. Like, that's it. There's nothing going on. And it's like, to see this, it's like watching the most gruesome accident that you can't turn your eyes away from as soon as Rachel has her first opening statement. And then watching the rest is like, I already know that he got destroyed in the opening statement. I just have to tolerate the rest of him just trying to justify and cope the rest of the time. I think that's what's going to happen.
As well, want to let you know, folks.
James, you're muted.
That's right. I'm muted on Zoom. So
yeah, James, you're muted.
There it is. So yeah, long story short, folks, we are thrilled to have you here. This is going to be so fun. You won't even believe it. We are going to have a discussion now. Following that, we'll have Q&A. If you happen to have a question, feel free to fire it into the old live chat. You can tag me with that Modern Day Debate. Otherwise, Super Chat is another option, and that will push your question to the top of the list as we read the Super Chats first and in the order that they come in. So, with that, thank you very much. First, Amender and Rachel, the floor is all yours.
I got a quick question for you. I got a few questions actually for you, Ray.
Abe, how about a chicken instead of a turkey? Fried chicken is my, you know what? Not that I'm being a racial trope right now, but grape drink and fried chicken. I especially with some Louisiana hot. Anyways, let me continue.
Rachel Wisson. These are pretty quick questions, and I'm just curious as to like how you would answer them. So, let me just ask you: which goddess do you think feminists are subconsciously worshiping today, and how do you think that affects daily politics?
Well, I don't have to guess, and I don't have to wonder if they're subconsciously worshiping. So, if you go
I'm asking
TikTok,
which goddess specifically.
yes, I'm gonna tell you if you hush your sassy little mouth there. All you have to do is go to TikTok, which the user base is what, 85% female. Put in the hashtag witch talk or put in the hashtag goddess, and you will find millions of impressions, millions of women talking about the goddess Kali and how she's a symbol of women's liberation because she only accepted the blood sacrifice of men on the battlefield, and she's a vengeful,
Okay, so the answer to the first part of the question is Kali. And how do you think that is affecting daily politics?
Oh, well, I'll tell you. So it's more, it doesn't just affect politics, it affects the entire pop culture. So if you go to a Taylor Swift or Beyonce concert, why should we stick to politics? We're talking about the population.
This is just the specific question. I got all sorts of questions for you because it's just, to me, it's so bizarre because I read your book. It's very disjointed. So like, I just want you, just for the sake of the audience, right, to explain.
Yeah, I'll explain. It is Kali, but you have to be quiet, and now you have to tell me what. I can't explain.
This is what I'm going to have to deal with on the 4th of next month. I'm going to have to deal with this guy interrupting. So when I say things like I'm going to have to put him in his fucking place, this is what I have to deal with. Like, and I understand people saying, Marte, you have a lot of patience. Rachel has a lot of patience. But once again, look at the still frames of the screen. Rachel's rolling her eyes. Of course, I would do this is probably the loudest eye roll that entered the chat that we've ever seen on screen to date. Matter of fact, she probably perfected this because dealing with this guy right now with his look on his face, I can totally understand this. Do you understand that the facial expressions are mirroring the exact debate that they're having right now? That's the hilarious part about this is like, they're literally like, no poker face. This is obviously like, you can tell how the debate's going by how their expressions are. And she's like, this guy and his bullshit interrupting the whole time. BS like is. Yeah, the reason why I'm doing this debate review is because I have to look at my opponent and I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this. So I'm going to have to shut this down during the debate. I think Speakeasy is a decent debate host as far as like a moderator, but I'm going to have to just pretend that Speakeasy isn't there and then do this myself because he will talk over moderators. I've seen this. He's doing this over James. He's doing this over Rachel.
How do you think that it affects daily politics?
You asked me a question, so let me answer.
All right. We're going to give Rachel, hold on. All right. First Amender, we got to give Rachel a chance to answer.
So if you want to know expressly how it affects politics, you could look at all of the first female politicians that entered office under the banner of women's liberation, citing a lot of the early suffrage writers who wanted women to be liberated from men on the basis that Christianity was an oppressive force and that things like Gnosticism, spiritualism, and occultism were, and Lucifer specifically and openly was the symbol of women's liberation for first wave. So all of the women who were politically active marching for the 19th Amendment, there's an old saying that says there was never a suffragette who didn't sit around the seance table. My book goes over all of them. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Matilda Joslyn Gage, all of the heroes of first wave were spiritualists. They were tarot card readers. They were automatic writers. So yes, they were very much into occultism and goddess worship. And there was a huge revival of this in the 70s. And Europe is filled with female politicians.
That's great. That's great.
You see what he's doing right now? I'm going to point it out. He's not listening to her. He's listening to respond. And when people say, yeah, like, can you retain any information when you're trying to interrupt the whole time? I would have just sat there. There are debates that I do where I actually listen to my opponents. There's debates that I have that were on grid ones where I just sat and listened and allowed my opponent to talk. I don't think that it's a defensive or I would say offensive tactic to interrupt your opponent. It kind of like stabs you at the same time as you're trying to come in and get some words in edgewise because you're not listening. You're not actually able to articulate, or if somebody asks you, like if Rachel was to say, can you steel man what I just said? Do you think First Amender could do that? I highly would be, I probably doubt it.
The goddess,
you've answered my question.
Your question. The 70s European female politicians, many of them who are all listed in the book, followed the goddess worship revival of the 70s, which was a huge like pop culture thing.
Oh yeah, sure.
So yeah, it definitely affects
the body language, moving in the chair like that, jittering, Rachel, forward, confident.
The politics of today.
Gotcha. So, all right, let me ask you this. Are modern working women actually victims of a secret occult plot? Yes, that's a yes or no question.
Are modern working women victims of a secret occult plot? No, that's not. You're trying to frame it.
I'm asking you, is that a yes or no? Very simple. I'm not framing anything. It's not a yes or no question. I'm just...
Yeah, that's true. It's really disingenuous because when you're talking about a plot, like how so? You mean downstream from plots that have happened in the past? But that could be said like, hey, is there a current plot that's happening right now? One could even say, well, no, there's not a current plot, but how did this even start? We had a cults that started, the cult of the Golden Dawn, things like this. So it's like, if you think about the origin, you understand how this question is really loaded and it's not black and white, but he's trying to frame it as black and white, which is crazy.
You're trying to frame it in a way that I have to say yes or no
ask me the question that you framed. Ask me the question. Are modern working women actually victims of a secret occult plot? I would say no. I would just say no immediately. Why does that require nuance?
Because there's a lot more to it. All of society, I'll explain it. All of society is governed by cultural engineering, marketing. Would you disagrey that marketing does not subliminally control what a lot of people do in their lives? Why?
And this is why I brought up Abe Dinkus, Cole Vick, Zinga Harris, things like this. Believe it or not, we have subliminal marketing that happens. When you hear people like this, like Abe Dinkus speak about his wife, not that I'm trying to go for personal stuff, but I'm trying to give you guys your flowers, or Cool Vic or Zinga Harris, people like that mention, hey, my beloved husband or my wife, things like this. This is a form of propaganda, which is good that we need in society. Because Rachel Wilson's talking about the marketing, the oppositional propaganda and marketing, we have to counteract that. I think that having these people on the forefront, competent people on the foregrounds, like Abe Dinkus's, your Cool Vic's, your Miss Harris's, things like this, when we have competent people who are actively walking this walk, just the mere mention of I'm married, yeah, my husband, and you're happy about it. Do you understand the impact that has on people just by mentioning this? That's marketing, and that's also propaganda. You can't say it isn't, because people are going to remember that. I've remembered that when I said this. So when I look at Abe Dinkus, when I look at Cole Vic, Zinga Harris, I think, damn, they got, I can't say it doesn't work for society. They're making it work. I'm seeing example. How blessed, nihilistic am I if I see these people actively in my chat and living this life? Because I see a chance that there's hope. Because I see this happening, I see oppositional propaganda to the negative. Yeah.
Why do you go get the McDonald's?
I mean, I don't think it subliminally controls. I think it actively tries to influence your behavior, and you are consciously aware of that. I as far as like subliminal marketing,
that's not true.
There's no empirical evidence that subliminal marketing works. Like there have been experiments done with like the single frame thing and the popcorn, like trying to see if they would get more. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not real. But I mean, I'm just curious. Like, are modern working women victims of a secret
They're victims
occult
of propaganda. Plot? No, they're victims of a century of propaganda propped up by billions of dollars in NGO money. That's
which is an occult plot, right?
Some of the people who were involved in it had this belief, and that's why they pushed it.
I'll take that as a yes. True. So then we're moving on. Okay. Do you believe that the CIA invented feminism as a form of mind?
It's like he didn't even pay attention.
Control.
He didn't even pay attention to this. He just wanted to move on because it wasn't really working for him. So now he's moving on. He's getting destroyed. It's like you're being eaten alive and you're just living life and smiling, not knowing that you're implicit on your own destruction, because First Amender doesn't really have a solid argument yet. I'm waiting for one that he might even have. I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, of course.
By the way, James, I'm only good with answering his line of interrogation if I get to interrogate him back.
You can interrogate me all you want.
If he has to answer my
I'm just genuinely curious about this.
No, you're not. You're full of shit.
It's wild to me.
You are.
Rachel, is there a question you wanted to ask?
I'm just asking you simple questions. Go ahead, ask the question. I'll answer any question you got.
First.
It's only wild to you because you said you read my book and you didn't.
Oh, shit. Oh, once again, look at the faces. They tell the tale of how the debate's going right now. It's like, oh, yeah, I didn't read the book. Shit. It's like, but I was close, right? It's like,
I did read your book.
You did?
Why do you think I'm asking you these pointed
questions? Tell me
questions?
one thing you read in my book. Tell me something you read in my book.
What? I mean, what am I going to talk about specifically? You talked about all sorts of stuff.
Out of the book
There's a lot of there's a lot of really bizarre, disjointed things. Like I'm sitting here and I'm reading about a god in Egypt, right? In ancient Egypt, and you somehow push forward like 1,000 years talking about Celtic mythology and how that there's I don't know, menstruation gods or whatever, or gods that desire to have
the knight and the bishop. I think it's hold on, the knight and the bishop. Yes, you're correct about that. I think that that's one avenue I didn't want to go towards, is drama streaming. When Dusty tried to call me out on drama streaming, I told him, no, I'm not a drama streaming. All I want to do is find clarity when it comes to things like that. Even if I bring up drama, what's up, Blood Logos in the chat? By the way, I appreciate you stopping by. I don't do drama streams at all. I think that it's lame, and I do think you can ruin your brand, because once you do something like that, you have to keep doing it. You can't just do a drama stream and then just stop, and then people are just like, well, it's like a one-hit wonder thing. You have to keep at it, and you have to have a kind of like a pattern of doing this. If that's how you want to do this, you get typecast in the YouTube community. I think it's totally accurate. I don't want to be typecast as that. I just want to be typecast as somebody that we're all going to be typecast regardless, right? If you think about Andrew Wilson, he's kind of typecast to a certain degree. People know what to expect and anticipate when they hear him. When they hear Rachel's arguments or anything like that, or listen to any of her content, they know what to expect. When they see my channel, I want them to kind of have a mainstay, or at least a foundational understanding of what I bring to the table. When I go to people and I'm just going to bring it up one time. If I go to Dusty's channel, it's just drama streaming. That's all it is. It's very short-lived. It's like junk food. If you take it, it's quick and satisfying, but I think over a long period of time, it's going to wreck yourself. That's how drama streaming is. And I think that it's mostly an accurate assessment of that. So, grape. I do. I'm about to switch from this to grape drink for sure. Yeah, Abe Dinkus. Matter of fact, I have to give credit where credit's due. Marriage is so much work, but also fulfilling. Marriage with children gives a man a reason to stand up and work to make a world worth having. If Abe couldn't be any more based than this, that's correct. So much based topics, and Red Door Women based as well too. Yeah, good stuff, man. Hit the like button. Let's continue with this craziness.
No,
superiority in it. No, what do you mean?
That's not in the book. There's no menstruation gods. No, I don't know.
So hold on. So I just want
literally getting called out right now for not reading the book, but let's continue.
To be clear, right? You never talked about pagan religions or goddess worship.
Sure,
you didn't talk about Inanna or Lilith or Kali as symbols of female autonomy and power. I did read your book. I did read it.
Okay, why?
I'm saying that there's a lot of disjointed stuff where you try to pair up stuff.
We heard that already. We heard that already. Rachel's got a new question.
So here's my question for you. Why did I bring those goddesses up in the book? If you read the book, why did I bring them up?
I don't know. I think in your brain...
You didn't read the book.
This is crazy. Once again, the faces are reflective of how the debate's going.
You didn't read the book. Stop lying. Stop lying.
I did read the book. I did. It's not a long book.
Okay, what's at the end?
It's not a long book.
What do I wrap it with? Just in general.
I honestly...
Oh, okay. This is horrible. This is like watching the worst accident ever. Look at Rachel's look, and then look at him trying to weasel. Good luck, bro. Good luck, First Amender.
I don't remember off the top
Oh, this is the more I play this, the worse it gets.
of my head, but I did
No,
read your
you
book.
You didn't
Right?
read the book.
It's been, to be fair,
All right,
right?
All right, that was hilarious. That's crazy.
Let's say maybe you just read
right,
selections.
on
like
actually
he's-
reading your book, and then within the next day,
And then you did it.
while
And
it
then
was
you
This is
fresh,
like
This is so much cope right now. This is crazy.
I read your book. What do you want? Do you need a
Just,
screenshot?
I swear I read your book, though. I don't remember what was in the book, but I
You can't
Okay,
tell
my
me what
gosh,
the book
like-
is about. You can't tell me anything that's
Okay,
in it. You
I hate
can't
to
tell
do
me
I
this.
what
literally
What I
just
have to do
listed
is-
exactly what was in it.
Okay, pardon my muting you both. Just to be sure that we get back.
And then he said, I told you what was in this. And then he said, I don't remember what was in the book. Did he say this within the same segment? This is crazy. I got to clip this. This is insane. I can't believe I'm watching this right. Like, I just saw this. This is insane.
back to the topic of whether or not contemporary feminism is helping women. Let's just settle, like maybe meet halfway and say that maybe First Amender read selections of the book, whether they be large or small, is up for debate, but we'll shelf that topic for whether or not the selections were large or small for another time. And then let's return back to the topic here. So I'm going to ask you to unmute, and then we'll go back to whether or not feminism today is helping women.
Okay, so since you already asked me a bunch of questions, I have one for you. Where do you think feminism came from? How did we get feminism? You're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
It's like he's self-owning himself in so many different degrees throughout this debate.
That's a different question. It depends on what particular culture you're talking about. I think there's
Okay,
a lot
the
of
West.
separation that exists
In the West.
Mary Wollstonecraft. It likely started from Mary Wollstonecraft, and then that would be what we would consider modern contemporary feminism, which, by the way, I should point out, is a Christian deist. I don't know how you in the book, like you did label it as like occultism.
When Rachel Wilson shakes her head while she's listening, remember, she's not interrupting. Remember what I was talking about, listening to what people say and then using that against them if there's a fault or faulty rhetoric. When she shakes her head, I'm just like, this person's cooked. That's like my automatic where my mind goes to.
Regarding Mary Wollstonecraft, because that they were a deist, but I'm a little lost because what they would say that they basically gave their life to Jesus Christ, and they would also say that there is a God, but that the God doesn't actually influence itself, and that's somehow the occult. I don't know how you pair up, like specifically like Kali, like 1,000 years ago, and then move all the way to Mary Wollstonecraft that has completely different ideas, and then say
James said
somehow
he wanted to shelve the topic of the book. So unless you want me to explain how I know you didn't read the book, because that's what the book is me explaining the connection. That's literally what the book is.
Let me help
So
you
if you
out.
don't know how I connect it, you didn't read it. So do you think feminism was a reaction to patriarchy and abuses by the evil patriarchy?
I'm going to share this real quick, and I want everybody to see it. I want everybody
Just
to see
to
it.
be
Just
sure,
because you
I don't wanna
downloaded
be-
it or whatever doesn't
All right.
mean you read it.
What is that? Hold on.
because you
What
don't know
are
what's in
we?
it.
What is that? What does that say? Let me help you out. What does that say
Doesn't
there?
mean that
Okay.
you paid
Can
any
you
I
just
think-
look at
attention that
that?
you know
Hold
what's
on,
in
I
it.
hate
just-
to do
can
this.
you just
but
admit that I
just
did read your book?
because,
No.
where
Can you
is
just
this?
Because you
admit that
don't
I
know
read your
what's in
book?
it.
Pardon my muting you both again. So, okay. It's not quite as exciting to debate whether or not First Amender sat in his little flannel pajamas and read your book, Rachel. So I think it'd be more interesting, more exciting, rather than imagining him in his little jammies reading your book, debating whether or not that happened. Is feminism today, are the things, let's say even maybe in first wave feminism, have they helped women or have they hurt women
I
or
would
neither?
love to do that, but he keeps asking me to explain my book. So tell him to stop doing that, and I'm happy to ask.
The crazy thing is that him having to explain the book could also imply that he hasn't read the book or maybe skimmed the book.
All you gave us was plot points on a graph saying, oh, this obviously proves that everything's better for women. Okay, then why do we have a little something called the National Incidence Study, which goes over 45 years of data, the most comprehensive data collected by all of the bureaus in the United States, everything from police to first responders to school psychologists. Everybody who reports on any type of abuse is included in the National Incident Study. And this study over 45 years shows that women and children both have not experienced less abuse, but have experienced increasing and more abuse as divorce and single parent families and single motherhood has been on the rise. So it shows, what all of this data shows is that the safest place for a woman is with her husband, not with a cohabitating partner.
I will say that the least safest place, and of course, not to sound super race, I guess I can have a self-internalized racism, but I don't really care. I'm being really accurate when I say this. The least safe place for a Black individual is in a Black woman's womb, to be honest. And that's I could probably show you stats on this, and you're totally right about that.
Not alone, not divorced, not with her second boyfriend after she got the divorce, with her husband. And feminism was specifically one of the main tenets of first and second wave was to separate women from marriage, to make it easier to get out, to make it easier to break up. So how can you say women are better off when we are objectively at higher risk of all types of domestic violence, when this is one of the main promises of
actually
feminism?
Other way around. When you don't have feminism, it's actually...
No, she's totally correct about this, because domestic abuse and violence increases with stepdads. How do we have stepdads in the house? When mothers are divorcing at a 79%, 80% rate, and this is because of no-fault divorce, because maybe he breathed wrong. And the number one reason I would say is finances. And then I don't even think infidelity is like number one. It's like 2 on some schematics. And then you look at 3, but it's like 1 is finances. So that tells you, okay, this could be anything. This is quality of life or my happiness, whatever this is. And that means that, okay, there's a vacancy, and women don't like being alone because there's a lonely woman epidemic that doesn't get talked about. So they're going to fill in this vacancy with a stepdad. And if a stepdad comes in the home, a lot of abuses happen because of this. I can go on a long monologue about this, but I don't want to monopolize the time. We can get back to the debate.
Actually higher in terms of domestic violence.
I just explained to you that
false.
wasn't true.
You're wrong.
Okay,
so
explain.
Here's the thing, right? Like my argument, like if you want to deal
prove
with
it. No, you just made a claim. You have to prove it. You said that I was wrong.
You want me to just sit there and like look up a study, or can we like actually go back and forth on this?
I have a study right here. I have the National Incident Study.
That was all white. What was that?
There's the National Incident Study, which is this, I just explained what it is, huge government survey of all reporting agencies that have any types of reports of abuse of women and children, says that the safest place for women from 1970 to now, when they started recording this, is with their married spouse.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was saying. That's why I mentioned the stepdad, meaning that they're not with their married spouse. A stepdad could be a married spouse, but that's not the original spouse, the father of the children. That's what she's saying the whole time. First Amender, he's getting cooked alive, roasted alive.
And that to the extent that women get divorced, stay single, cohabitate with a partner is actually one of the most dangerous things. This was stigmatized before feminism.
Yes, that's exactly what I was just saying.
And now with women's liberation and no-fault divorce and just live with your boyfriend and have his babies, women are experiencing higher volumes of abuse than they did prior. Do you have data that proves that wrong?
So I just want to be clear, right? Like the IPV or intimate partner violence, would you say that there's, let me back up. Is there more domestic violence now or less?
Now, from when to when? Because it depends. They haven't been tracking this stuff forever.
Let's say from the 1990s to today.
From the 1990s to today, overall, is there more or less? It's remained remarkably.
Is there more or less feminism in your mind?
There's more feminism, and domestic violence has stayed about the same for 45 years. It's just stagnated. The overall level.
So if I pull up a study regarding the intimate partner violence and find that it has declined significantly from the 90s to the 2010s, you would just say that you're wrong about that?
I would say that I've done an extensive investigating into that, and it depends whose data you look at, which is why I went with the NIS. Yes, this is true. So there are certain places that you can report to that show this, but it's not comprehensive data. It doesn't go over everything. The NIS is comprehensive. It takes every type of reporting place that handles these kinds of complaints and shows that the overall rate has not changed much, because like the IPV doesn't always take into account all types of violence. It doesn't take into account all types of reporting. I had a big kerfuffle with, I think it was Trent Horn about this, where he and I went back and forth, and actually he ended up saying, okay, yes, you're correct. The NIS is much more comprehensive. It actually shows that the overall rate is stagnant. It's been about the same for the last 50 years. And that the only places where there's less is in married families with both biological parents living with the children. Every other living situation is far more dangerous to both women and children, up to a factor of 12.
Look, so I'll point this out again. First Amender is looking at something, maybe a screen, and it's hard to listen to somebody else while you're trying to scramble and look up some information, because how much are we doing how active is our listening? So I'm going to tell you guys this. I'm not like a debating expert, but I will say this from my own experience. If ever I was in a debate and I had to scramble for something, I'm not able to steelman that person's comment that they're saying because I'm not listening, and then I'm not engaged. This is the thing where it's like, you could say you just got to be better at multitasking, but can you see how this can also be a handicap as well too? You're handicapping yourself because you're scrambling, because maybe this is a lack of preparation. He might have prepared on the front end with some video slideshow and stuff like that, but also he was destroyed in the opening statement. And when he came out, she basically just dismantled that, and anything else. Now he's scrambling, looking at a screen right now, trying to figure out how to like counter and not listening to what she's saying. This is her advantage right now. She's going in on him. Maybe she can look at her phone, this and that, but she's active. She's way more active in this conversation than he is. W Rachel on this as well too.
Times. So children who live with
I don't know
non-married parents.
What to tell you here. I mean, you're just wrong.
I'm not just wrong.
I mean, like
she's wrong, but can you telling people that they're wrong without demonstrating or showing them that they're wrong is just, maybe he's buying time. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share it so that way everybody can see it. Like I'm not blowing smoke up your bum when I'm sitting here pointing to you that,
too, if you want.
That indeed it is lower. Violence is lower than in the past.
No,
it had lowered quite a bit.
No. Wait. Look. See, this is what I'm talking about. It says women killed by intimate partners using guns and other methods.
Yeah.
That's
but there's more feminism now. So then why is the inverse the correlatory?
Women killed is not the same as overall domestic violence. Most women who experience domestic violence are never killed.
Do you need overall domestic violence? A lot of that goes unreported. How would you even know that?
Because of everything that is reported by all agencies, go to the National Incident Study or go to my Substack, which has all of these links and it has the charts and it has the graphs in one of my articles that shows this.
So then what you need to have, right, is like basically
overall
if I show you information that is antithetical to your position.
No, that's
you say,
not
well, that's not good enough.
One metric.
I only need my own.
That's not good enough.
How are you exactly going to measure that? A lot of this goes unreported. I'm explaining it.
James, he won't stop talking ever. He asked me a question and I can't answer. And he did this with Andrew and he did this with Jim Bob. He speed prattles over you.
I want to give Rachel plenty of time.
Saying that because the number of deaths has declined a little bit since the 90s is not indicative of the overall rate of domestic violence, because deaths are a tiny fraction. I think it's like 2% or less of all domestic violence victims are ever killed by the person who is doing the violence to them. Okay. So the overall domestic violence rate has stagnated for 45 years, and it has increased in every type of living situation except married biological parents with the children. That is by far the safest. Do you dispute that? Do you dispute that the safest living situation for women and children is in a home with both biological parents who are married?
Here we go.
Do you dispute that?
There does appear to be a correlation to that, and that
Oh shit! All right, let's go.
It's fair.
No, it's not just a correlation. It's,
no, it
it's
is a
an
correlation because
no, it's
normally
not.
when you're
It's
together and you have more
overwhelming.
money because you're together, then it would be likely that you would actually not have as much violence.
I'll just read it here.
That would
All right, one
logically
sec.
follow.
Okay, let's hear. Okay, let's give Rachel a chance to respond to that. You had just explained why you think there is a correlation there. First Amender, let's give Rachel a chance to respond to that.
Okay, so I've got my Substack pulled up here. It's rwilson.substack.com. It's a piece called 45 Years of Data Proving.
See, here's the thing though. When you're outgunned, outmanned, and just outdone, she cites her Substack, which means like she's more of a subject expert, especially with feminism, than First Amender, me, and Dr. James Coons here probably put together. She has a whole Substack on this actively. I mean, wrote a book about this. I believe writing a second book as well too. Also, I'm going to put a shameless plug in here real quick. I have my book coming out in 2 months, and it's going to be amazing. I hope that everybody buys this. Rachel Wilson has agreed to write the forward. Rollo Tomasi also agreed to write the forward too. Yeah, it's going to be a good book. Let's continue.
That fathers are not the threat. And it says that children living with single parent with an unmarried partner had the highest incidence of physical abuse by far, more than 10 times the lowest rate. Only 0.7 per 1,000 children living with two married biological parents were sexually abused, compared to 12.1 per 1,000 of children living with a single parent who had an unmarried partner.
Also, I just want to bring up the name. I don't want to sound ignorant. It's called the female warrior fallacy. It's going to go over the lies and indoctrinations that we had as far as women in culture, as far as war, civilization. Xena warrior princess never existed. The shield maidens were cheerleaders at best, never existed. I go over everything from Joan of Arc. She was basically like a mascot at best. I go over everything and debunk everything that we've been told. Shang-Chi was never a pirate that commanded ships with men, and that's also a lie we've been told. So this book is going to piss a lot of people off. So just like her, I'm going to be probably on panels defending my book as well too.
When it comes to emotional abuse, the rate of 15 per 1,000 kids living with a single parent with an unmarried partner is more than 8 times higher than the rate for kids living with both married biological parents. The rate of physical neglect, 7 times higher for kids who are in broken families. The incidence of children who suffered serious harm and endangerment was 9.5 times higher. And it continues. Now, here's probably the most relevant statistic. 68% of kids who were maltreated in these studies, this huge meta study, were maltreated by a female, whereas 48% were maltreated by a male. So this idea that the threat was men, or the threat was husbands, or the threat was fathers is a lie. It's a lie of feminist propaganda. It is not your married husband and the father of your children who is the threat. It's the guy that you shack up with after your divorce. It's the dude who you let into the situation after you divorce your husband, because they're looking for women and children who are vulnerable. Okay, so you have to look at the whole picture. You can't just pull up one stat of like just women who are killed. That does not give you the full picture.
All right, great, fabulous. Let's prove you wrong again. I do love that goalpost shifting, though. That's fun. I'll go ahead and provide it.
At all. You're the one who shifted the goalpost by saying you have to just go by this one metric, which is women who are killed.
Shh, listen, the men are talking.
First Amender needs to be destroyed. This is just insane. She rolls her eyes, but it's like when he says something like the men are talking, as he's actively getting wrecked by a woman in this debate, he's talking like he has some kind of authority while getting destroyed and outwitted and outmatched by Rachel Wilson here.
The men are talking.
You're a little boy. You're not.
So if you look right here, if you observe right here, you can see that there appears to be the offending and victimization rates between 1976 to 2017. The current explanation as to what that spike
what's
is.
the source?
So
what are we
later
looking
on,
at? I need to know what we're looking at.
Yes, this is a paper called Gender Differences in the Patterns and Trends of U.S. Homicide between 1976 to 2017.
So it's just homicide again.
This is a.
It's just homicide. We're talking about abuse.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Right. Also, this includes abuse because it's talking about offending and victimization rates. So, yes, it is also including abuse. It's also lower. Again, there's more.
Offending and victimization rates could be talking about homicide, People that commit homicide are also offenders that create victims. This could be one and the same. This is insane. Like, this is also I'd also point this out. That's crazy that he just did this right now. I'm witnessing this.
Feminism, right? But we don't see this sudden rise. However,
yeah, but can you show the difference though? If this is just abuse and DV in a home, and it's not just people with homicide, it doesn't say that. Just because it says offending and victimization rates doesn't create this distinction. Like, it doesn't create a separation, because you can have homicide and murder. But anyways, here we go.
It is fair to say that we can say
there's not a sudden rise.
There has been a sudden rise, and yeah, it's down. Yeah, no crap, it's down.
No,
exactly.
It's stagnated.
Your
no,
argument.
You're wrong.
No,
you're wrong.
How is that stagnated? How is that trend that is obviously going down? How is that? How exactly is that?
That is not an overall rate of abuse. That is not an overall intimate.
This is homicide, not like DV.
Partner violence stat. That is just offending and victimization rates for men. That's the
I
graph
love
I'm
it.
looking at.
No. Oh.
And it's for homicide, not what the this guy's crazy.
If you here, let me help you out with your reading. Okay. If you'll notice right here under figure 2, it says offending and victimization rates for women. And you'll notice it's very similar. Right? It's the same thing.
Up.
And you'll notice that as there has been since the 1990s, right, there was actually laws that were passed specifically outlawing specific violence against women. There had been laws that have been passed. And then the result is there's less victims. Oh, what do you know? More feminism has resulted in less victimization, less harm to women, right? Now what, true. Rachel? What?
Now what?
What? I'm showing you the papers. I'm showing you the information. This is wild. You're like in La La Land.
You're going to have to mute him.
Is this what I have to deal with when I do a First Amender? This is just insane. Wow. She said you're gonna have to mute him. Oh man, I'm like upset right now with how I have to just babysit First Amender and then deal with my own debate that's gonna be happening right now. This is just crazy.
Okay.
Like, he's gonna be acting like this. He acted like this in Andrew Wilson's debate, Andrew Stein's debate, and now we're seeing this right here. I don't think that this pattern is gonna change or be any different come November 4th when I debate this guy that transformer women are not women. Yeah, this is crazy.
You're going to have to mute him. He's once again because he doesn't know the overall stats and the data. He's pulling up a random thing. Oh, look at the chart go down. Yeah, the chart is, he didn't scroll up to show us what offender and victimization means, how they calculated that, who collected it, what the population size.
It said homicide at the top. It didn't say anything about like a DV or whatever. Anyway,
it was nothing. I'm talking about overall domestic violence rates in the most comprehensive data that we have. We don't even know what we're looking at when he shows us that. He just shows us a line that goes down.
This isn't moving a goalpost because it said homicide rates. It didn't say DV specifically. We can talk about these categories. And if it's mentioning just homicide, like DV, yeah, that's a form of homicide, but it's a specific form of DV that's finite. You know, if we think about this, they're not talking about like, you know, slapping a woman or anything like that. I mean, there's also emotional abuse stats out there as well, too. Even if we can't quantify that, there's also this distinction that the article doesn't mention. This is just insane. But he's telling her that she's moving the goalpost when really she's attacking this directly and going straight for the throat.
And it says victim and offender. That doesn't tell us anything. So we're talking about if feminism has protected women, then why is the overall domestic violence rate for women and children the same after 45 years? And if you want to know for sure, pull up the National Incident Study yourself. Go to the federal government website and pull it up. And it will show you that it is the most comprehensive data set that we have. Okay.
It's
whatever
not the
you
same.
were just looking at, you didn't let me look at the intro. You didn't let me look at the methods. I can't on the screen right now see the full view of what you're talking about, but I can show you this. Okay. On top of this, we have 2 huge studies. Have you ever heard of the paradox of declining female happiness? This is a huge study that came out in 2008. You ever heard of it? No.
No.
Okay, he's never heard of it. The paradox of declining female happiness opens with this. And this is a meta study across multiple cultures, and focuses on the United States. And then there's a second follow-up study they did that was much more comprehensive and looked at the whole world. By many objective measures, the lives of women in the United States has improved over the past 35 years, yet we show that measures of subjective well-being indicate that women's happiness has declined, both absolutely and relatively to men. The paradox of women's declining relative well-being is found across various data sets, measure of subjective well-being, and is pervasive across demographic groups and industrialized countries. Relative declines in female happiness have eroded a gender gap in happiness in which women in the 1970s reported higher subjective well-being than did men. These declines have continued, and a new gender gap is emerging, one with higher subjective well-being for men. So women.
And that was a great study as well, too. First Amenders in jail. I like this so much. Speakeasy, if you're listening, I don't know if you're listening right now. You were in the chat earlier before, but can we design this? Can we make it to where if he's muted and I muted him so that I can talk, we can put him in jail like this? That would be awesome if we could do that. Just a recommendation.
Are not happier. They're not reporting that they're doing better. So are you going to tell me the women are wrong?
Post link.
How do I do that on Zoom? How do I do that on Zoom?
While that link is posted, folks, want to remind you first, thanks so much for your likes. We're already at 214, and Nora in the live chat said if we get to 250 likes, he would email everyone in chat his lewd and lascivious foot pics, quote unquote. Nasty guy, but hey, we appreciate your likes anyway. We'll give Rachel a chance to.
I do wonder, Dr. James Coon, I know somebody that is a doctor, but he's not like a medical doctor. I wonder what kind of doctor James Coons is, or if it's in relation to like rhetoric, speech, public speaking, or being an orator to some degree. I don't know. I guess I'll ask him directly when I see him one day.
Share that link with First Amender. And when the bars are up over First Amender on screen, that's not meant to apply that he's first offender. We want to be clear. He's not.
I don't know. I don't see any distinction between first offender and first amender. He abuses his freedom of speech for sure.
An offender. He's not a pervert. The bars just
also questionable.
Signify if someone's muted. So, yeah. Which we appreciate. I want to give. I got to give credit. Because it's true that First Amender, he has a way with people. Everybody, by the end of the debate, they're just enraged and they just want to look at his face.
Yeah, exactly. This is what this doesn't affect me. So when he goes for like the attacks and wants to purposely push buttons, my buttons don't get pushed in debates. I don't know if anybody has ever seen me in debates. I'm like, I'm anti-trigger proof. I can't be triggered at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, there's nothing that he can do to rile me up. I'm just going to treat him like a kid, but I'm not handling him with kid gloves. He's getting the shit stomped out of him, but
okay. I have the link, but I don't use Zoom a lot. Where do I share it? Is there like a chat?
Yeah, you should see a button that says chat.
I see
you click it, and then you can just paste it. And
oh, that sucks. I hate Zoom debates. I think I did one debate on Zoom. And you can't share the story. You know what? Actually, does Grid do this? I don't know. He does something that looks like a Zoom debate thing. But anyways.
You could see that I have the one where you could just see the paper itself and then where it was actually published in libertpub.com. Anyway, let's take a look at your Yale paper.
Back to First Amender. You just want to face. But the
Doctor of Philosophy, which means he could possibly be really good at debates. Philosophy is a strong proponent, a strong component of like, I would say a staple of actually being a great debater. It's foundational in when it comes to like kind of defending our rhetoric and dismantling people's rhetoric as far as like belief systems, as far as like the social sphere of like how we have these belief systems socially shifting from one movement to the next, and these goalpost shifts that happen from one day to the next, actually, in this politically enraged environment that we do have right now. It's just, yeah, that's awesome though. It's good insight, good information.
Point is, I got to give him credit. He comes back here every time, even though they can, the chat sometimes, not everybody in chat, but some of them. And then also sometimes the speakers, I remember a little 2-on-2 debate, Alex Stein and Isabella Riley. They tore into First Amender good. They called him first offender among many other things. But again, he's not an offender. Thanks for your super chat. Rate me, XD. Uh-oh.
I mean, we don't know that. So let me continue.
Says, Rachel, you're wasting your time on this low testosterone, crying. Is pinko a bad word? What's pinko mean?
I don't care. I don't care. It's just
this guy's he's a human pinata. He's like Ryan #2. This is crazy.
the dumb ad hominem.
Okay, well, don't worry, they're not done. He said he's a secretion from a cockroaches. Oh my, we can't say that word.
The chat is going hard on this guy.
We YouTube has become more. I'll give Rachel a chance to respond to First Amenders if you're ready, Rachel. Otherwise, I can keep.
Yeah, I've posted a link to the Paradox of Declining Female Happiness and the 2022 follow-up study, which amusingly states by the authors, we find that one part of the female happiness paradox is very robust. When answering questions about negative effect, women are always and everywhere more unhappy than men.
By the way, I will say I timed this stream because I saw Cool Vic have his stream and I was like, oh, I can't have this during his stream. Let me time it to where it's like on the cusp of him ending his stream at some point or towards the end. And guess what? Huzzah, we're here. Anyways, yeah, this was I kind of planned this. So
this is true across time, country, and across different metrics of negative effect. LOL.
So, Rachel, your
Pretty
paper
funny.
doesn't actually really address specifically violence against women.
No, it's overall happiness.
So,
since
okay,
you and I
hold on.
can't agree about violence, I thought we'd just go to, are women happier? You said it was better.
Well, he lost on violence because he couldn't really kind of like create this distinction or display like where this is coming from or actually do a breakdown on this. This is what I mean. Like he was kind of scrambling a little bit and just looking during the debate. He's good at like trying to buy time and talk and like piss you off at the same time and hit all these buttons. But I mean, when it comes to like trying to actually defend yourself, I don't think he's really good at that. That's why Rachel Wilson's like, yeah, let's move on because you're unable to defend any of this at all or even clarify what you just brought up as evidence.
The thing, Rachel.
Women are saying they're not happier.
There's a decline in reported happiness. That's fair. I was not even contesting that concept.
Well, then
however,
how
when
could
I'm
feminism
referring
be
to the
helping
violence
women if
against,
they're less happy?
Well, I think
If
there's
they're
probably
worse.
more to life than just simply happiness, and there's probably certain life.
Just asserting there's more to life, and this is crazy. I got to hear the rest of this.
Satisfactions that cause that to be the case. I mean, there's a current increased expectations in role expansion, specifically in your paper that you have listed, where they're saying that women's roles has expanded beyond traditional boundaries, which encompasses both career as well as familial responsibility, and that the pressure to have it all have led to increased stress and decreased overall happiness.
Yeah, that actually makes Rachel's argument. Yeah. Go ahead, First Amender. Hang yourself further.
Happiness. I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with that. I think if you're like doubling the overall workload from like being stay-at-home to being stay-at-home mom and working a full-time job would absolutely increase that, right? Pick one or
you're making her argument. Keep going, bro. I like this.
or the other, not do both, or at least share the workload with men. That's perfectly like.
Yes, you're making her argument. Good job, First Amender. Good boy. That sounded kind of demeaning, but anyways, let's go.
Fine. The work-life balance challenge appears to be the concern regarding your paper. If you're talking about the emotional labor as well as household responsibilities, if anything, like people where it's like expected that the woman.
I've been kind of ignoring some of the debates that are happening with, I think, the Knight and the Bishop. I'm trying to be as neutral here as possible, but yeah, crazy side chats going on, by the way. I'll just say that. Was Pinko communist? That's crazy. I didn't even know what that meant. But yeah, the political commentary, I could see that. Crazy stuff. Lauren says Amazon, UPS have announced $50,000 layoffs this week. Unemployment keeps rising. Nothing is cheaper. Every job reports gets worse. Bankruptcy Forbes. The value of dollar has dropped 11% in 2020. That is crazy. What a crazy stat. I love stats and looking at info. Even infographics. But yeah, I'll have to look into that a little bit more. That is crazy. Yeah, Graham is totally right about that. It's crazy. We'll see what happens though in the future, because trades are increasing as far as the job market. I think that I'm in school right now to be a diesel mechanic. They make really good bank right now. I want to, and here's my ideal, not to like interrupt the stream too much. I want to make enough to where I make two incomes. There's a guy that makes $500,000 a year as a student in my class because he owns a business. I already have a contract to work for this guy. As soon as I graduate, he says, probably 15K a year, 14 or a month, hauling like hazard material and stuff like that. So I'll get a CDL. Anyways, there's a whole lot to that. But if I'm going to be making decent money, and that's the thing though, is like if I'm going to get a wife, I want to be able to protect us from a financial storm or anything like that, right? So yeah, let's continue. It's crazy debate so far.
Must be the one that deals with the household responsibility. It's that kind of mentality on top of having to work, which would result in this unhappiness, when really the working in the house and doing housework, that's not just woman's work. That's also men's work, right? It's a team effort, right?
Okay.
And that would result in better happiness, I think, in my opinion.
I have to ask you then, is women's right to work, did like feminists fight for women to have the right to work? Is working a privilege, a right that we fought for?
Yes.
Okay, then how can it be a right and a privilege, but it's also like a burden that makes life harder?
Right.
Ooh, this is a good question. Oh man, he's cooked.
I wouldn't necessarily call working a privilege, because you kind of need to do it in order to like survive.
Yeah, that doesn't answer the question, bro.
But why didn't we need to do it before 1970? Why didn't women need to work outside the home before 1970?
That's a really complex question. I think it has to do with a myriad of factors. I do believe that we had created the Milton Friedmans of the world and the Margaret Thatchers of the world that decided to erode away at unions and make it a lot harder for people to be able to make ends meet.
Nope, it's
which then resulted in.
Do you want to know
really?
the answer?
Yeah,
I'll tell you the answer.
Yeah,
the answer is because
when Rachel says, "Oh, I'll tell you the answer," you're cooked.
Because we pushed women after the creation of gender studies in 1970, the publishing of Ms. Magazine, this huge campaign by now to push women into the workforce. We doubled the workforce almost overnight. Within a span of about 10 to 15 years, women flooded the workforce, doubled the labor force. Wages have never recovered, and we now have a two-income economy. So in the 60s and all of human history prior, you could raise a family with.
So you don't have it. You don't think that has anything to do with the fact that we've eroded away at unions?
No.
Can women be bosses? Can they make?
We can have unions without. So this isn't mutually exclusive. The crazy direction where First Amender's taking this, and I totally get what Rachel Wilson's saying. If I can really get this right, I think that if women left the workforce, meaning like all these jobs that men usually filled, men's pay grade would go up as far as like the pay raise, things like this. And it would be a little bit more sustainable, but because now employers can just say, well, I could just get a woman to do the same thing. They have more options. And guess what happens? Now it's like, well, I don't have to be as competitive with my pay anymore. So I think, it's just Rachel's pointing to a simple supply and demand thing that's happening right now. And we could see this happening overwhelmingly. If there was a shortage of men happening for men's positions, and we said that stereotypically we conform to these gender norms of like men working police and men working all these other jobs instead of like women being flooded into the workforce in these arenas, I think that pay would definitely go up because people would say, well, I need more men. It's tough to find a bit. I have to pay more. It's like, so I think things will get more competitive. I can get that. I could see the counter argument to some degree, but it doesn't hold up. I mean, look who's at the helm of the opposing argument.
Businesses? Are women capable of making businesses?
Are they capable of making
Yeah.
businesses?
Can they make
Sure.
businesses?
Yes.
Okay. So if you double the workforce and you double the amount of people that make businesses, wouldn't that increase
No.
standards?
What percentage of the workforce is people who own businesses? It's a very small amount. And guess what?
Yeah, but there would be an
Women-
increased amount, would there not be?
Women don't. Yeah, some women own businesses.
Okay,
but
so then it would just
still,
be additional trade, and it would result in higher quality living outcomes.
And have you ever looked?
We've observed this in the past. You know, I mean, I think it was like
women?
during the Islamic golden age.
Hold on, I
it
do
was
want
one
to
of the
just
only
be sure.
societies. What?
He never addressed the happiness paradox. He never addressed this at all. Never reconciled this at all. He's kind of floundering a little bit, trying to just fill in gaps right now, I think.
Just to be sure that Rachel has a chance to speak as well, because I do appreciate your passion, First Amender, but sometimes I just want to be sure that there's approximately equal input during the open dialogue. We'll let you get back to that thought.
Let's get to the crux of the matter here rather than quibbling over economics, which we could do all night and we're not going to agree. There's this inescapable fact of biology, which is that there's only one sex.
One sex can only have the babies. This right here is irrefutable right here. First Amender is kind of delusional because I had to debate him against transformer women being women. And that's our debate that's going to happen. So there's going to be some cognitive dissonance I foresee on the 4th.
That can have the babies, and that is women. And women and you, sir, First Amender, have been told this lie that there's nothing more to motherhood than 9 months, you pop out the baby, and then it's a nights and weekends thing that you can do around your job. You can do it around owning a business. You can have it all. And as a woman who's had 5 children, I will tell you,
said that?
motherhood is not a part-time night.
Motherhood is a lifetime thing.
Of course it is. And tell me how it makes sense for us to outsource the raising of our children.
By the way, so sorry to interject. I know I'm doing like a debate stream on this, but I debated Brian Johnson, the tech billionaire, in Los Angeles on Jubilee. That episode should be airing pretty soon. I'm going to take the content and display it on my channel. This brings up a debate that we had. Brian Johnson had literally said that. He had told me during the debate, I'm kind of ruining it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to quite be the same way. So Brian Johnson had told me, he said, sleep is the number one priority more than anything else we have in society, because if we want eternal life, we want to be the first society that doesn't die, which I thought was ludicrous. So of course I raced to the table and I told him, no, it's not. That's ridiculous on its face. If you're saying that sleep has to be a high priority and we have to look at sleep above everything else, you're then saying that women that have a declining birth rate and dealing with this in the nation are going to have to not deal with colicky babies anymore. Like that's going to keep women up and interrupt sleep. So sleep isn't the priority that we have in America. You're going to have husbands who are going to have to watch the night shift as cops and our protectors as the infrastructure hums at night, and men are working this to ensure that the infrastructure doesn't sleep at night. So if you're telling us that we have to prioritize sleep over everything else, you don't believe that sacrifices should be taken. So I literally destroyed Brian Johnson on this whole topic, which is going to be on the Jubilee debate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to produce the content, clip it, show it on my channel. It was awesome. I destroyed this guy so bad in this debate, in my humble opinion, that they didn't bring me back up at the table. They wanted it to look fair, firm, and consistent for Brian Johnson. And they offered me to show up for 3 more episodes. I turned down an episode for debating against the doctor for RFK. There's another one I'm going to show up on. They want me for 3 more episodes of Jubilee. But anyways, moving forward, let's get back to the debate.
To low-wage daycare workers, rather than the woman who is the mother raising the kids,
because people have to work.
You're going to give it to a random other woman. Now this woman is burdened.
And just so you're aware, right? Like prior to the 1970s, women still had to work.
Hold on one second. Let's just give Rachel a chance to finish the sentence, and then we'll go back to you on the point you had first.
Up until women's liberation and pushing moms into the workforce, we didn't have massive daycares everywhere, and the children were raised by their mother. Some idiot decided, well, I know who. It was idiots at Ms. Magazine and the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation who wanted to double the workforce, stagnate the wages, tax the other half of the public.
I'm not monetized yet, but my channel is under review because I had I reached a $3,000 3,000. I want to be monetized when I'm saying 3,000 hours should be $3,000. When I reach the threshold, and my channel will be under review for monetization. Hopefully it gets there. But if you can watch, there's a dono right there for a Cash App. Until then, that's fine. I'll accept money, and I'll also read I'm reading your chats for free on the stream right now, but I want to say $5 comes in from cleaner, or something. I want to get to that point where I can at least do that. I'm a student right now, so fund your local student that's also going to be a trade person and contribute to society, right? And a nuclear family, hopefully one day. But let's get back to the debate.
And put all the children into state-run schools. They decided, we'll just convince the women that it actually makes sense to pay some woman $11 an hour to raise your child. Okay, well, what about that woman? Why doesn't she get to run a business? Why doesn't she get to have the fancy corner office and close the deal over brunch?
Rachel, I've got news for you.
The most inefficient, ridiculous system, and it's not going to last.
Rachel, I got news for you, Rachel. Women had always worked throughout history, and I'll tell you how that's even possible.
I haven't
the
heard
people
this
that you're
before.
talking about with the man goes to work and the woman stays at home. That was typically people who are upper middle class and up.
Nope. Regular
people, they worked. Women worked. Do you think women weren't there working in factories in the 1910s? They were. Right? Throughout the 1910s, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s,
how many
women worked.
How many?
A majority of women worked.
Nope.
Over 50%.
Nope, you are wrong, sir. The statistics you are wrong.
Yeah, but I can't trust you and your statistics because anytime I throw a statistic at you, you just say, well, this exact opposite thing that actually has nothing to do with what we were originally talking about is actually the case.
Why don't you? There's nothing wrong.
I can't trust your statistics, but I also haven't refuted anything you've said either. Oh, that's crazy.
Your argument, right, didn't even have in your paper, right, regarding happiness, didn't even address that violence is lower among women now, even though there's more feminism now, right? So do you believe that is more violence good for women, or is less violence good for women? I would say less, right? It's fair to say that.
That was not did you just give me a statistic for overall violence, or was it just murders?
For homicide. That's exactly what I talked about. So he's complaining about the same thing that he assumes while doing the same thing himself and get called out for this. This is the thing that I pointed out. That paper that he brought up was about homicides. It didn't say anything about DV at all, but he's accusing her of doing that. Crazy.
Because
I did give you a statistic for overall violence. Yes.
No, this was for homicide. It said it at the top of the paper. This is why, if you notice, he didn't scroll up back to where it said homicide. He left it at the bottom. And this is where he's trying to bog things down and get things muddy. But no, Rachel probably sees through all this. I mean, good on her.
Do you need me to show you the chart again?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that says homicide at the top and doesn't say DV. Yeah, let's see it.
You can look at right there where it says, here is mine, scihub.ru right there. You can see the actual paper right there. If you just scroll down, you will see that it actually has the exact thing you're looking for. Figure 2, offending victimization rates for women. Remember that?
Yeah, I can't go through your
it's
whole
down
study.
now. No, it's literally a single chart. I'm not asking you to look at the entire study.
If you want to do this, James is not going to like it, but okay, we'll go over what's the definition of offenders. Okay, let's go back to the top. After declining.
Wow.
James isn't going to like this, as he smiles, of course.
So he wants me to sit here and read and find out the definitions and figure out what that means, because we don't know what offending and victimization rates are. We don't know. Does that include all types of violence? Is it just fatal violence? Does it include rape? We don't know. So we're going to have to go dig through. But just to go back to what he was saying that was incorrect from my book here, and this.
All right, but I mean, is it fair to say that the homicide and victimization rates is lower now, right?
No, it's.
Yeah, notice he keeps reverting to homicide. He doesn't say anything about DV. That's what Rachel's saying. Overall DV. He's reverting to like finality, like situations like this person got unalived. That's not what she's talking about. If your paper only references unaliving, Yeah, good for you with that stat, but she's talking about DV rates. This is crazy cope or him scrambling and having nothing.
Not that is I can't look at that.
Numby
and
go
I have
down.
to-
What do I'm literally saying the offending and victimization rates is down now than it was in 1976.
What does offending and victimization rate mean? What does that term
We can
mean?
talk
Go
about
to the
that,
definition
but
and
it
read
is
it
fair
me.
to say, under the definition that is in here in the
James.
paper, offending and victimization rates for women is down, right?
No,
We're not
what-
in make-believe land.
What?
We're in
What
reality
does-
Hold on.
land,
All
right?
First Amender, let's hear from Rachel.
Everybody
He
saw
ha-
the chart.
No, First Amender,
God.
you're not Rachel.
Oh.
Shut up for a
He-
second.
What he needs to do, if he wants me to contend with that data, he has to go up to the part of the study where they give you the definitions for the terms, and he has to tell me what they mean by offender and victimization. What does it include? How did they collect it? Where is it from?
Ironically, he's behind bars in this video is crazy.
Because the NIS study, which is bigger than this one tiny study he's got, it's a meta study of everything, says that the overall rate of violence against women has stagnated and has been the same for 45 years. And that's from the US government. It's the most comprehensive data set there is. So if he wants me to contend with that, tell me what offenders and victimization means, because we don't know what that includes or how they put that together. However, you are wrong about women having always worked. Now, when people say women always worked, they're usually saying on their own homesteads with their husband prior to the Industrial Revolution, when your husband was like a blacksmith making horseshoes.
See, this is where the subject matter expert comes in, and he just gets obliterated even more. This is just crazy to watch.
And you were milking the goats and everyone was on the homestead. Yes, but as after the Industrial Revolution, absolutely not. In the United States, in 1940, the number of children under age 6 with mothers working full-time outside the home was 6%, sir. So no, it has not always been this way. Everyone's mom didn't work. I'm 44 and I was born in 1980. And when I was growing up, most kids' moms were still at home. It wasn't until the 90s that it became more than half of my friends whose moms were always working outside the home. You're wrong. Just admit you're wrong.
James, of course, is muted. Somebody tell him.
What year was that you said that it was like 5% or whatever?
In 1940, the number of children under age 6 with mothers working full-time outside the home was 6%. By 2013, that number jumped tenfold to 58%. This is brand new shit. Everybody wasn't raised by the daycare, sir. That's brand new shit, and it's catastrophically bad. Broken homes, daycares. Do you want me to go over the statistics for kids who are raised without their dad in the home? Would you like to talk about that? Because I think the happiness of children matters, and I think it matters too the happiness of their mothers.
He doesn't want to go down that road because he's going to get obliterated. When it comes to that, there's been a downpour of traditional values when it comes to, and I'm talking about the disintegration of this, meaning like the homes, and we talk about nuclear intact families, that's been destroyed. As far as kids' happiness, to me, therein lies the crux of the whole issue. And I don't think First Amender can really reconcile this when it comes to kids' happiness, because we talk about women's happiness, but alas, what's going to be forthcoming is the next generation of the progeny that we have. If we have kids and the rate of recidivism goes up, violence goes up, sex work and all this other stuff because of single mom households, well, guess what? This further proves Rachel's point, as she may get into, which is pretty good. Good point.
So 90% of kids.
From what I'm looking
homeless,
at, in 1940, 27% of women age 16 and over were in the labor force.
Yeah, I'm
and
talking
through
about
1945,
mothers.
during
We're
World War
talking about
II.
mothers. See, he doesn't know how to read data. I'm
So
not
it has to be
asking what share
specifically
of women.
mothers? Why are you
Yes,
cherry picking
because we're
data as
talking
opposed to
about
just looking all
daycare.
women? I was
Because
talking
you
about
said-
women in the labor force.
Because you said the burden, the reason women were unhappy is because they have to work and raise kids, and that it shouldn't be both. And that the
I
life
think I would be
balance is
fair to
hard.
say that generally speaking, if a woman has a child, then and they can actually afford to be helping the child at home, then yeah, it would result. I mean, again, this really comes
And
down to
wouldn't
like
more
throughout the
women be able to
1950s.
afford that?
Wouldn't throughout the
Wouldn't?
1950s, stop talking. Wouldn't throughout
This is crazy.
the 1950s that there would have happened unionization where your rights of how much that you were getting paid, as well as like workplace conditions, that was actually negotiated. that would allow or enable women to be able to be stay-at-home moms? Do you think that that's possible?
What did you say at the first part? In the 1950s, what?
Okay, if you have unions that are able to
Yeah.
negotiate the wages, right?
It's not a
wouldn't
lack
that
of
mean
unions.
wouldn't that mean that since that they're getting paid more money, women can have the choice if they want to be stay-at-home mothers?
That would be nice, but that's not what crushed men's wages. What crushed men's wages was sending all the women to college.
Women worked in the past.
No, not then. I just told
Yes,
you
they
that
did.
No, they didn't. Not in
You
large
said not
numbers.
mothers,
Okay, hold
but
on,
I
we
showed you
okay,
women, and it is
hold on.
that.
You
We-
said
all right,
16.
one sec. I
You
hate to
have
do
to
this.
mute him. He's
So,
just
okay,
This is crazy. This is what I have to deal with on the 4th of November. Wild.
hey,
let
hold
me
on one
talk.
sec.
So
I'm
I'll
just going to quick
explain
jump
it.
in. Okay, so one of you is saying yes, they did in the past. One of you is saying no, they didn't. Okay, we got that. Who is it? We'll go to first, Rachel. Rachel, this is there. I don't know if you know if you're on mute, so we'll give you a chance. Let's go with Rachel first. You're unmuted, Rachel, so you can go for yeah, I'm letting you go first, and you're still mad. Okay,
Okay.
First Amender. Rachel, go ahead.
I'll explain, and then he can tell me if I'm wrong. So prior to 1970, the vast majority of women did not work full time outside the home. Yes, historically, some women have worked sometimes, but it was never the norm for all women to work. Like he even said, 16% of the labor force was women. During World War II, that temporarily bumped up. It went right back down because women hated it. They'd rather be at home. Mothers working is what we were talking about because of the context of what he said, that women are unhappy, but it's only because they have to juggle work and raising kids and you can't do both. It's hard to do both. Yes, I agree. The reason men's wages have stagnated and been suppressed and have never recovered is because we doubled the labor force by sending all the women to college. Women graduate from college at a far higher rate than men now. They also carry the majority of college debt. So every family is starting with a giant burden of student debt, both parents trying to work, and this is the number one reason people are only having about 1.5 kids now. Okay.
Also, if you guys think that I'm doing a halfway decent job, put 1 in the chat if you think I'm doing halfway decent, because I understand this is my first time doing a debate review. Rachel definitely obliterated obliterated as usual. Put a 1 in the chat if you think I'm doing a decent job as a debate review person or panelist. I'm going to call myself a panelist because I'm just the guy on the side watching the debate at the time. But I also like to provide some decent commentary. I notice that when people do debate reviews, they do debates and they just watch the video, or they're not entertaining or engaging enough, and they don't have any good commentary. People fall asleep to moderators all the time, or even me or somebody else moderating a debate. And if you're not interesting enough or you're not charismatic enough, I think that you have to have a kind of like a personality for this, right? I think that could be, there's a lot to be said for this. I appreciate the ones in the chat. Thank you. This is just me kind of like checking the temperature of the room. Yeah. So self-accountability. That's what I was doing as far as check. Let's get back to the debate. This is crazy. I'd like to see how he responds to this, because this is like Tyson's haymaker that hits the jaw.
So he's wrong. The majority of women did not work until 1970. It was only after the creation of gender studies departments that we shoved and pushed women and told them, you have to have a career. You have to have a career. Being a stay-at-home mom is for losers. So that's why men's wages are not better. It has nothing to do with unions.
I'd love to see the answer for this. This is seeing him try to recover from this. It's looking bleak and abysmal right now for first offender.
How do you like them apples, First Amender? What's your response? I'll give you a
Right.
chance. You're unmuted now.
I mean, I think if you want to fix, say, like having children in the birth rate, and you want to address birth rate decline, right? We can argue for universal child care. We can have child allowances or child tax.
So he's going to throw money at the problem. This is wild. This is crazy. It's rich. Yeah, we see how throwing money at the black community helped out a whole lot. Look at what's happening. They're so reliant on the system that they're going to rob stores, and they're saying this all over TikTok and everything else. I'm just going to rob. I dare somebody to stop me if they cut my food stamps off. And this is what happens when you throw money at a problem. People become reliant on the system, and then you fill the home with another daddy, which is big government, instead of the real daddy. He gets ejected out. I think it was a good idea for food stamps to be cut off next month, so that way Black fathers and fathers can be back in the home, and women have to rely on men now, so that we can look at each other as the support system of the home to provide for a nuclear family. I think that this is good. Take this handicap out of the home so that we can revert to systems of old, of men being accountable, women being accountable, and us needing each other.
Credits, increases. We can have free or affordable health care, paid parental leave. We could increase housing affordability. We reduce education and debt burdens. We create a family-friendly culture. We can open up on immigration. We can promote relationship stability. These are all concepts.
These are all egalitarian concepts that Rachel's probably reeling right now. At this moment, this is crazy.
That exist on the left. Whereas like your argument is like, we should just like control women and like force them to be like baby.
She never said forcing. He's going to say baby farming, all this. Even then, I even gave a little grace by saying I would be the misogynist by saying everything Rachel's saying. But now he's saying that about Rachel. He is now going to slaughter. Look at the look at her. She's ready to just kill.
Factories or whatever, which is really weird. I don't know. I mean, you're the one that sits here and says and says that this is like a secret occult plot. Like I'm supposed to like talk statistics
again.
and
he's
reason
trying to make me sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, because you are. That's what you are.
No, if you actually read the book, which a lot of people in the chat probably already have, but if you haven't, get the book and find out for yourself.
They're really known for their reading.
That's not what I say. I don't say there's some occultic plot. I'm saying that the origin of these ideas that women must be liberated from the men who love them most, that childbearing is oppressive. Like he just said, baby factories. Do you know how many times I've been called a baby factory? It's a pejorative. It's a slur to call women.
It is. It's like pregnant persons. It's like one of those stupid slurs that people have all the time. It's just dumb. You're just like, it's like me calling somebody a cow. Like you're just cattle. Like to me, this doesn't really make any sense. It's just a slur. But you see what First Amender is doing right now? He just has an emotional argument, no basis at all. He can't contend with her points. And it's like, that's why I was asking, how's he going to recover? Not at all, for what I can
see. Saying that in the,
to call women who care about being mothers and care about motherhood and take that seriously, to call them baby factories, that came out of second wave feminism.
I'm saying you're treating them like they're baby factories. I think they're more than just being able to make babies.
No, I'm not. Simone de Beauvoir is the one who started calling women breeding mares and baby factories. Margaret Sanger, first wave, called them that.
Well, the way that you're talking about them, that's effectively what it's treating it out to be.
He's framing her as this, but she hasn't stated anything that's oppressive. This is fallacious already. That's how you know he's taking a big, massive L right now.
How? How is it?
Because I think if a woman makes the decision, I don't want to have kids, I want to work, that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. And that shouldn't bother you. Does it bother you?
This guy's like a really horrible reframer.
I'll answer. You want to know if it bothers me?
Yes.
It bothers me because I know why they say that. He's going to laugh. This is not funny.
Yeah, because it's insane. It's insane.
It's not insane.
Anybody who's like, who's like,
he can make assertions as far as like her intentions by saying, you just want to oppress women. But when she says, I know why this happens and I know why there's intention behind this, it's bad when she does it, when she can actually demonstrate this, and he can't demonstrate how she's oppressive by saying what she's saying as far as traditional values.
Who's like not in like I don't know, hyper right wing circle world.
It's not.
I hear that and go, that's wild.
First Amender is like walking hyperbole right now at this point. He has no argument right now.
I'm literally saying, hey, people have a right to make a decision for themselves. Very simple.
That's a nice talking point. That's a nice talking point, but that's not what happened. Okay. Women didn't sit around in their homes surrounded by, because this is what it was like before feminism. All the women were home. So you didn't have to just, Your mother was there, your aunt was there, your cousins were there, your sisters were there. You had community. Everyone was home. All the children were raised together. Families had a lot of close-knitness because the cousins were all raised together. All the children and all the women were together all day, doing what they do in the homestead and doing what they do around the house. What happened is they did not look around one day and you go, you know what? This sucks. This is oppressive. And I feel like I just don't have the personal choice to work, because they always did. They always had the choice to work. It's just that most of them wanted to have children and be with their sisters and their cousins and their mothers and raise families. What happened is over $1 billion of propaganda in just a couple of centuries by progressive industrialists telling women that you being a mother is oppression. And what you really want is to go work in a factory. You know what would make you happy? Being in a cubicle all day and submitting to your boss. That's where the good stuff is, lady. You don't want to stay home with your own children and be their mom and be surrounded by family. No. You want to go work for Bob in the cubicle all day, and you want to do the reports. And
yeah, and what she's pointing to is like just antinatalism talk. This is just crazy. They're just against babies. They're against the future. They're against progeny from being created. And all of this systemically just reduces birth rate more and more.
You want to put the packs in the screws at the factory and stand on your feet for 10 hours a day. Doesn't that sound good, ladies? Because I'll tell you what, he's talking about personal choice, and it would be nice if we had personal choice, but women are hammered with propaganda from the time they're born, telling them that being a mom is oppression and that it's for losers, and that if you want to be a strong, independent woman, you have to be like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, and you don't need a man, and men are just going to abuse you, and children are going to ruin your life and take away your autonomy. It's about propaganda. All of history is a propaganda war, and feminism is pure propaganda, and we've told women this. We've told them that you want to be in the cubicle. It's bullshit. It's lies.
So, like, you being forced to work 10-hour days and having poor working conditions is an argument in favor.
I didn't say poor working conditions. It could be great working conditions. It still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I let you finish. So, you know, you're being forced to work 10-hour days. That's a really good argument for unions. I agree with you. Now, let's assume, right, that 99% of women decided to be stay-at-home mothers. Great. I don't have an issue with that at all. I just think it should be up to the choice. And you, Rachel, sitting there telling people.
Notice how he says, I think it should be up to you. Meanwhile, she just mentioned the pervasive propaganda that women are brainwashed with from the time they're born till the time they pass away. Lord have mercy.
If they choose to have a career, you see that as somehow degenerate, as something that is a terrible.
I never said that.
You literally suggested earlier, did you or did you not say that I don't think that they should be out in the workforce? Yes or no?
I did not say they shouldn't be out in the workforce.
You did say
stupid.
That. Okay,
no,
so you're lying.
Here's what I
now
said.
I know that you are a liar.
I
now
didn't
I'm just going to ask a simple question.
Are you going to let me respond?
Are women who do not follow Christianity and choose careers damned or spiritual?
He's just going to filibuster the whole time and then not let her rebuttal or respond. This is why she said, hey, you're going to have to push the mute button. And where's James' hand at? Not on the mute button. It's on his mouth. This is just insane. So when people talk about Rachel Wilson's patience or my patience or Andrew Wilson's patience or anybody else's, just understand that this is a lot of grace that people show in times of like debate and hard-headed, stubborn people that never want to give you a chance to overtalk. This is why these people get bodied in debates, because all of a sudden I would say the court of public opinion is the chat of anything. I guarantee the chat was lighting up pitchforks and lighting up probably tiki torches and everything and coming for First Amender in the chat because of what he's doing right here.
Spiritually corrupted.
No, I would never say that, you fucking psychopath.
This is an optics nightmare for First Amender. So now Rachel Wilson is on the warpath. This is as we can hear now.
Okay, so no. Okay, that's good. That's at least a no. So I'll give you at least you have something in your head.
He is straw manning me.
That's
he
good.
Is lying.
No, I just asked a simple question.
Oh, hopefully they blurred out the F slur. Rachel calls him an F slur right here. I don't know. I may have to skip this part. This is just crazy. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. We'll see.
You said no.
Nope, I'm
Fair
going to
enough.
respond
We
to
can
it.
move
Shut
on.
your
So
little
we
twink
will go
mouth.
back.
Shut your little faggoty twink mouth, okay? Because
All
I
right,
said
hold on a
what I
second.
said is.
I
All
think
right, I'll
even
calm down.
YouTube may not allow that yet.
I was hoping that they edited it, but I guess not. This is crazy. I'll re-upload this video, but I'm gonna edit that part out.
I think they're moving in the open free
Yeah, go ahead, First Minute. Just got ripped a new one. Just utterly destroyed. Just stupid.
speech direction. I know that they let us get away with honky and cracker.
And you know why that is? It's really weird because I keep talking about the black community. The black community can say cracker, honky, all this stuff, but if you take it and you the shoes on the other foot, oh, we're burning down cities, cars are being burned down, the man is oppressing me, all this other stuff. So when I think about it, black culture is, I'm talking about not black people, but so there's this distinction. The black culture is extremely racist, more racist than whites that I see, at least overtly from what I can observe in society. Blacks are hella racist. And I'll be honest, I hear this in community all the time from my fellow black, I don't know what to call them, but anyways, it's crazy. He's pointing out a very blatant fact right now in society.
They did. I said it the other night a bunch of times. But we do want to just redirect back to the original question before First Amender asked his first question. I think, Rachel, you had said, but it's okay if First Amender, one thing to just remind you is that if First Amender says something where he asks like a new question, it's okay to be like, bro, I'm not answering this new question until I get to respond to your last one. But go ahead, Rachel, I'll give you a chance to respond, and the floor is all yours. Let's see. Unmute. Okay.
Yeah, so of course that's going to tick me off when he thinks I think people are damned. As an Orthodox Christian, we do not make salvific claims about who's going to hell and who's going to heaven. We
Based.
don't do it. Okay, so let's get that straight. He's trying to paint me as a crazy person, as a conspiracy theorist. It's slander, it's lies. I never said women working is degenerate. What I said is that women have been conned, they have been lied to, and they've been told that this absolutely insane system, which you haven't answered to my question yet, how does it make sense for me to take my 5 children that I love and I'm their mother and they belong to me and drop them off at some random daycare center where people they don't even know, who do not have a vested interest in their well-being, are going to be paid a low wage to raise them all day while I go work? And on the subject of working, do you know, you're talking about working conditions? It's not that women have bad working conditions. It's that for the last 100 years, women have done the same jobs. No matter how much we try to push them into STEM, no matter how much we try to make them be the CEO, most women are not going to be the boss. Most women are going to work retail, nursing, daycare. They're going to be teachers. They're going to be bookkeepers. They're going to have these menial labor jobs that they don't care about the way they care about their children. And you're selling them a bullshit dream that they can go be a boss, that all of them are going to end up being Taylor Swift or the women on Sex and the City. That's not real life either.
All right. First Amender, give you a chance to respond. I'm going to there you go.
I mean, you said, does it make sense to take kids at daycare where like a stranger is like taking care? Am I steel manning your point?
Yeah.
Correctly?
How does it make sense for me to let someone else
the answer
do that
is
when I should raise them?
it does make sense under the current paradigm. And
Wait, how? Okay, let me hear the rest of BS right now.
the reason why is because people need to work in order to make money. And so more people need to work because we've been eroding away at the rights of the working class for decades.
Which proves that Rachel Wilson's argument. Keep proving her right now. Let's go.
And so what we need to do is go back to what we had in the 1950s, where we had a high marginal tax rate, as well as combined with strong unionization rates, which resulted in very high quality of living standard. Yeah.
What? He had it, but then he lost it. BS.
The thing that changed, we've been over this already, the current paradigm, the reason we have a 2-income economy is not because of unions, not because of tax rates. This changed specifically. You can see this. I'm working on a piece about it right now with an economist, actually. From 1970 to 1985, the workforce doubled because of one thing, pushing women into the workforce. They were only a very small portion of working outside the home in the workforce prior to that. And when this huge propaganda wave started telling all the women to go to work, y'all want to go to, don't you want to work, ladies? That is the reason we have a 2-income.
Also, like, subscribe, and share if you can. The views help as well too. I'd like to get monetized. I know everybody else is. So kind of jelly when I can see somebody say, James 347 for $5 says, I'm just shouting. This is the EBT channel right now because anybody can make a comment and I'll put it up. So we're on EBT mode right now.
Economy. So when women say, well, I want to work,
Women can also make
take
jobs.
away my right to work. And then I go, why do you want to work? And they go, well, I have to work because we don't make enough money
Because
off
of
my
capitalism.
husband's income. It's not capitalism. Then
Yeah, it is. It's because you need to survive.
If it's
And so,
capitalism, why
like-
was this not the case until 1980? Did we start capitalism in 1980?
Oh, well, because we started with the Margaret Thatcherites of the world and the Milton Friedmans of the world and eroded away
Prove
the
it.
rights of the working class for a long period of
Prove it.
time. Yes.
Prove it.
What do you
First pretender. I like you. Plather. All right, here we go.
mean?
Where's
That's
your data?
exactly what happened.
Where's your data? No, that's not what
No
happened.
data that I
That's not
show
what
you
happened.
is
We had
going to
capitalism
prove
for
is
200
going to
years.
show the argument, because I literally showed you a number where the number is literally going down and you're like, it's not going down, it's
Did
stagnant.
we have capitalism in the
I want
1920s?
to ask you, I'm actually curious of another question.
No,
right?
I'm not going to let you
Should
get away.
women be
Did we have capitalism in
forbidden
1850?
from political
Right.
leadership because it
To be
invites
fair,
demonic
I know
energy?
that-
Simple question.
I appreciate your questions, First Amender too. Rachel said at
This is what I have to deal with on the 4th. Lord have mercy.
earlier in the debate that she wants to be able to ask questions as well. So let's go with Rachel's question, and then we'll come right back to yours, First Amender.
Okay, that was a nice attempt at dodging, but did we have capitalism in 1850? Yes or no? Was America capitalist in 1850? You can just nod. Yes, it was. Okay, what about in 1910? Yup.
I don't want to say what that movement looks like, but I guarantee you, First Offender has experience doing this.
What about in 1930, 1940?
Yeah, I could clip this so out of context on the left screen. This is. I'm going to continue. This is crazy.
1960. So how come during all those times
All right, the hole in the wall movement needs to stop, bro. This is crazy, bro.
when we were definitely a capitalist nation, did we not have a 2-income economy? And none of the women had to work. For the most part, there was always like really, really poor people that maybe they did, but the general public, the man worked, the woman stayed home. We did that for all of human history until 40 years ago. What changed? Not capitalism. Capitalism wasn't invented 40 years ago. One thing changed. It was pushing all the women into the workforce. Explain how I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, he's on mute. Sorry about that, First Amender. I unmute you.
He sounds so good when he's on mute, but the nonverbal communication that I saw right now, I have to bleach my brain.
And you guys have a time limit,
Because
just to be sure.
Oh,
I can
okay,
go
all
till
right.
about 10.
Are we? Yeah,
What
I mean,
time zone?
I do.
What time zone for each of you?
I'm on Eastern.
go till
It's
about
9:12
10.
currently. I'm
What-
hard cut
what
off
time
at about
zone
11,
for 10?
11:30. 11:30 is hard cut off.
I could push it to 10:30, but Andrew's in California right now, so I do have all the kids and everything. So
Based. Look, this is what I'm just so based. So look at what just happened right now. He's telling First Offender how integral women are in the home. Not only this, but what did I say about demonstration and being a walking example of this? She throws in, I have the kids this weekend. Andrew's in California because I'm the stay-at-home mom, this and that. Proving that this metric works for society. We can map this on to other people and say, you know what? My husband, who's the breadwinner, who makes all the money, does all this and protects me, makes sure that I'm protected from a financial disaster, everything else. And I'm just sitting here doing everything as a living example of everything you're railing against, public offender. Crazy.
10:30 in what time zone?
Eastern,
Eastern. Okay, 10:30
so
Eastern.
like an hour and 15 more.
Okay. And then First Amender, what about you?
The latest that I could be would be 11:30. It's currently 9:13. That's the absolute latest. I got to go after 11:30.
And you're talking about 11:30 Eastern, right?
Yeah, Eastern. It's
Oh.
currently 9:13.
So we'll have to go when she has to go, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give First Amender a chance to respond. First Amender, and then folks, we will have Q&A coming up in just a little bit. So
I will say I appreciate my mods, kind of like protecting my channel. As they protect the channel, I will also protect you as well too. So if anybody's pissed at my mods, you guys could take it with me. I'm the one that's giving them full authority to do what they want to do. I trust them. I mean, the main mod I would say is Relentless RX. So here's the thing though. I'll say this. I appreciate my mods. There's an iron fist rule when it comes to my chat. I've been kind of like glancing, paying attention a little bit, putting comments up and things like that. I appreciate you guys. You guys are, yeah, good shit.
First Amender, floor is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, like we had capitalism back then. I mean, throughout the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, it wasn't necessarily very good. We had a wartime economy that we had to go through. I got to go after 11:30.
So when he said the floor is all yours, I think they may be wrapping this up. Let's continue.
And you're talking about 11:30 Eastern, right?
Yeah, Eastern. It's currently 9:13.
I'm assuming. I don't know. Whenever I hear the floor is all yours, I always think they're wrapping it up. Maybe they're just continuing. Who knows?
So
we'll have to go when she has to go, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give First Amender a chance to respond. First Amender, and then folks, we will have Q&A coming up in just a little bit. So First Amender, floor is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, like we had capitalism back then. I mean, throughout the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, it wasn't necessarily very good. We had a wartime.
Not to interrupt, but Rachel Wilson has been in my chat before too. She just said, "Hey, probably subscribe to my channel too. Probably get some notifications, but she'll probably see this." I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up to this chat when we're talking, or Andrew. Who knows? But let's continue.
Economy that we had to go through. Women had to work as well. I think it was like upwards of 40% of women had to work during wartime. And then by the 1950s, we created the GI Bill, as well as lots and lots of different unionization efforts that improved the quality of living standard. Both women and men had the ability to work if they decided to do so. You are correct that women who had children, they typically would not have to work because, of course, if you have it where it's affordable to be on a single income, then that would logically make sense. So yes, unionization efforts would in fact result in women being able to stay home. And then, of course, later on, when we have the monetarist theories of the world, and then finally the Margaret Thatcherites and the Reagans of the world that eroded away the rights of the working class, which is why that you can see that the exact productivity index appears to be increasing.
I do. This guy he's lost so bad right now that right now it's just filler. That's all I see is just filler. I do want to make kind of like a side comment. Hopefully this doesn't get clipped too crazy. But my mods, I want to get to the point because I've heard this. I heard that other people say, because I've talked to other people who have their own channels. They'll say, well, I don't pay my mods. I don't do any of this for my mods. I want to get to the point to where like either it's Jake's following or something. Of course, this may be grandiose of me to say this. I want to get to the point where I can pay my mods. That would be nice. Where I could say, well, hey, because here's the thing though. If you guys are protecting the channel, protecting what goes on, why shouldn't you guys be incentivized to kind of like just protect something? Because this is also your time as well too. So I look at it like this. Maybe I'm weird for thinking about it like this, but I want to get to the point to where I could say, you know what, this is a little stipend. This is something for at least helping out, this and that. I hear other people with big channels, I'm not going to mention their names, talk to me and say, well, I don't pay my mods. They're just help out because they're, doing this and that. But that's also their time, because you're not, when people say I have a right, you don't have right to people's time. You don't have time to people's resources, which is their computer they're using. Let me know if I'm making a bad argument for this, but this is also time that they'll never get back. They're using this to moderate channels and things like this. This is why I say this. Although I would like to do a debate on why mods should get paid, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's continue this debate.
However, that the pay has remained stagnant since the 1970s is a very strong indicator that it is in fact the issue that things are less affordable and so women have to work. That's just, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess we just fundamentally disagree. I mean, you could sit there and say that this is a result of, I don't know, some bizarre occult thing.
That's not what I said. Stop strawmanning me, dude.
I mean, you wrote the book. I don't know what to
That's
tell you.
not what was
That's
my
what
argument.
you believe.
My argument to you here. What was my argument to you here? You're just trying to deflect because you're getting your ass.
You said there was. You said that
You're
there was
getting
capitalism
crushed.
in the past.
Damn, he is getting crushed. Look at James' face. Look at Rachel's face. First Amender, you're gonna have to eat this one, bro. It's a wrap, man. The cope. You know what? This has just turned into the cope stream. We're literally just watching the cope. Once again, pay attention to the expressions because they're extremely accurate as to what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
I said we've always had capitalism, so it can't be capital.
And then he said, yeah, I guess. He's conceding to getting his ass whooped. Good. I love it. This is awesome.
If we had just gotten capitalism in the 80s, you might be right. But here's the thing. You have already decided.
I mean, it was a very low working life. It was pretty crap in the 1910s. It was crap in the 1890s. It was crap in the 1920s. It was crap in the 1930s. It was only until like post 1940, 1950, where like you have a heavy unionization effort as well as tons and tons of money being poured into R&D that it resulted in a higher quality of living standard. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I guess like if all women just all of a sudden, if all women, like, do you really believe if we pulled all women out of the workforce and then they all became stay-at-home moms and started making babies?
So now he's creating an absolute claim, which is also fallacious. This is crazy. But I mean, he's purporting, well, what if this happens? A what if scenario? Well, not exactly an absolute, but he's using a what if. But this is going to be interesting.
Do you believe that life would get better?
Oh yes, I definitely do.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Why? Why would that?
Well, because you're halving the.
Because he's going to look at the exception to the rule. Is that what he's going to refer to? Well, not everybody, because a stark, less than 1% are going to be miserable because insert cope, whatever that is, he's going to blame it on.
Workforce, you're halving the amount of people that work there. And then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have an overpopulation problem, right? You're going to have it.
Wait, what? We're literally in a birth rate decline right now. And he's talking about a overpopulation problem. Meanwhile, 4B in the West is destroying us with South Korea as transplanting from South Korea coming here, and also Planned Parenthood with the deleting of babies from the Black community, which is 17% of the women. And I'm being gracious when I say this, deleting most of the babies, more than we have had deaths in human history due to the ABs that have happened at Planned Parenthood. This is insane. And he's worried about an overpopulation problem. The delusion in the, I'm going to have to face this guy in the fourth, and I'm going to have to kick this guy's ass. Something awful.
Men's wages, I guess it could go up, but that's like you would be looking at a giant deflationary spiral that would invariably destroy the economy. Absolutely. That would make the world a worse place. So I'm going to
wait. It would make the world a worse place with the reversal of a plummeting birth rate, and men getting paid more so that way women can have the option of being stay-at-home moms and raise kids. How? This isn't the fact that he's still digging his feet down and doubling down on this is just insane.
Ask you a question now. It's my turn.
No, I got to respond to that. I got to respond.
Look at the bad faith. I'm just going to steamroll or attempt to
leadership because it invites demonic energy.
Question. I'm not gonna do it until you let me respond to the first question.
Rachel's like, hey,
all I said was a statement. I didn't even make it.
Yeah, but she has to defend the statement that you just made, idiot.
No, you said, do you think that if all the women went back home and had babies instead, would things be better?
Right. He made that statement, which was in the form of a question. Still a statement.
Now you're asking.
You answered it. You said yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't. You didn't give me a chance to answer. You're framing it as though this is going to be something that happens overnight. Of course, if we rapture all the women from the workplace back home on, in one day, that wouldn't be bad. Or that would be bad. That's not how it would work. What I'm advocating for, and you need to, first of all, you need to stop thinking you're fighting some Reaganite Republican. I'm not a Republican. I hate Reagan. He's the one who gave us no-fault divorce. I don't like Thatcher. I actually wrote a piece of why Thatcher sucked. Okay. So you're not talking to some like MAGA Republican person here. That's not even my purview. What I'm advocating for is to dismantle the feminist propaganda, show everybody the lies, show everybody how dishonest the movement was, that it was never a grassroots thing, that it was a top-down effort from wealthy progressive industrialists who wanted cheap labor and to double the tax base and wanted kids in a Prussian school system where they could be, programmed to become good factory workers and good soldiers, according to the Prussian system. Okay, it's pretty progressive view that I have from your worldview, right? Those people lied. And there was a massive billion-dollar propaganda campaign that took a century to convince women that working for some dude is freedom, but, tending to your own family and submitting to your own husband is oppression, okay? If we just undid that, and we actually gave women the choice. I want women to have the choice. I want them to know the full story, and I want them to have the full picture. And if then they still choose, you know what? I don't really want to be at home with my own children all day. I really don't want the kind of life where I can make my own schedule, prioritize what I want to do, and put my time and effort into what I think is important, which is raising my kids and investing in them and educating them how I want to educate them. Doing, maybe she has a side gig from home. That's fine. I'm not
True, because that would still be a stay-at-home mom. And First Amender looks checked out. Dr. James Coombs looks suspicious of him being checked out. Like he's not even in the debate anymore. Rachel Wilson's still hammering in. This is a bloodbath that we're witnessing right now, which is expected.
Against these things. I'm not trying to shackle women to a stove. That's ridiculous. I want them to have the choice. So what I would advocate for is a slow transition where women get the full story. And a lot of them do go, you know what? Racking up a bunch of debt and going to college to start a career. And then I don't even think about maybe having a kid until I'm 35. And by then it's almost too late and I might have trouble. Like that does seem like a bad deal. I do kind of want to stay home and have my family first. And maybe when my kids grow up, then I'll work. Okay. I think if we gave women that choice, they would choose it. And just to wrap, Simone de Beauvoir said this to Betty Friedan in an interview in the 60s. She said, no government should be authorized.
So I will say this because this is a really good response James Bradley actually offers. He states his answer is keep birth rates suppressed, rely on immigration, how government, grow government and live in a utopian, cultless, identityless consumer nation. Yes. That is extremely accurate. Yeah, it's crazy. We can all see it right now. This guy just got bodied in front of everybody.
Tries to give women the choice to stay at home with their children because if there is such a choice, too many of them will choose it. And that's why they did the propaganda. Because if women knew and they could choose, most of them would want to stay home and make a family, not work in a cubicle.
Let's kick it over to First Amender. First Amender, let your sister Rachel have it.
Yeah, if all women left the workforce to become stay-at-home mothers to focus on childbearing, the consequences of this obviously would be economically devastating.
What? 87% of men work the infrastructure that is humming at night as everybody sleeps, not having to think about this. These men are taking the sacrifice to work graveyard shifts as police officers, everything else at night, protecting us as we sleep soundly. The protection isn't just because women will always say this. They'll say, well, who are you protecting us from? Other men? No, that's such an idiotic statement to make because we protect women from environment. We protect them from weather, inclement, failed weather. We protect them as far as sheltering because we build houses. We protect them from financial disasters as good husbands. We protect them from physical harm from animals and other species, invasive species, things like this. The protection encompasses so much. So to me, that's the most dumbass argument I've ever heard from feminists when they ever utter this, because it's like, well, who are you protecting men from? It's like, but that's the thing though. It's like, what's the economic disaster? Because surely 13% of women work infrastructure. And if you cut that in half of them are secretaries. If we really think about that, like plumbers and things like that, they're secretaries in that industry, half of them. So I'm being generous when I say what, 7%? like 7% are working in infrastructure on actual job, but even then their bodies break down faster than men. So it's like, this doesn't really make any sense. What are you going to do? Take people from air conditioned jobs that can be replaced by another man? I don't understand. Like, to me, this doesn't really make any sense. Anything women can do outside of the home, outside of birth or whatever else, men can do all these jobs, but women can't do everything men do. So if you were to take one sex off of the market as far as the workforce, it would be more detrimental to take men out of the workforce and then replace women. You can't do the opposite. Like, we can't. His rhetoric doesn't make any sense at all, and I don't even want to try to understand this logic at all.
It would be socially transformative and not in a good way. It would create long-term problems regarding national stability. I'll explain how. Women make up roughly around 47% of the United States labor workforce. Removing them would basically slash that workforce nearly in half. Sectors such as healthcare, education, social work, finance, and retail, where women are the majority, would basically collapse. There would be a giant U.S. GDP plunge, which would fall dramatically due to the loss of productivity. Estimates suggest that gender equality in employment adds trillions to a nation's GDP. Removing women would cost, at bare minimum, 10 to 15% more of total GDP. Fewer workers would also lead to less tax revenue. Combine that with more children and thus more dependents would put severe strain on government programs like public education, healthcare, infrastructure, social security. You would have a massive care burden on men. With women effectively being out of the workforce, men would need to pick up more hours or shift in order to formerly female-dominated.
On what world is he talking about? Some dystopian post-apocalyptic world that he's framing right now that's nonsensical, because if you take women out of the workforce, we're going to keep it running and humming at night when everybody's asleep. Like I said, cops working the grave shift. Men could work nursing jobs. They could work healthcare. They could work teacher jobs, all these other jobs. But society would absolutely crumble if we did an absolute scenario the other way. To me, it doesn't really make any sense. Actually, we'd probably be more innovative as a society. That's my sexist take, but I don't think it's that sexist. I think it's pretty based, leaning more towards reality than his worldview.
Roles, care work would be offloaded to the lowest paid workers or immigrants, increasing class divisions. You would have educational or healthcare declines where women dominate roles as teachers, nurses.
He does sound like he's reading from ChatGPT, right?
And aides, this would basically, the quality and availability of care would effectively plummet, especially in rural, underserved areas. You have a loss of talent.
If we took men out of the workforce for a week, the devastation would be monumental to society. But if we took women out of the workforce, it'd be like a little hiccup, right? In summation, I think that's mostly accurate, I would say.
Innovation. Women make up a growing percentage of STEM grads, doctors, and entrepreneurs. Their withdrawal would cut innovation and global competitiveness. Fewer role models of girls would lead to long-term consequences for future generations. You're talking about
role models for girls. You mean moms that are there for their daughters and actually homeschooling, things like this? What? This is insane. So those aren't role models as well, too? The traditional wives that are home, that remember when our grandmothers had like the cookbooks, Betty Crocker, and they used to read out of cookbooks and all. What happened to that in society with women? What happened to learning how to cook and women getting together, knitting their shirts and whatever it is, the knitting clubs they used to, and get together and say, hey, we have a secret recipe. Remember when families got together and said, our recipe is just kept in the family for decades? What happened to any of this bullshit? That's been weeded out because of his faux pas, pseudo dystopian apocalyptic scenario that he's describing that doesn't exist in society and would never exist if we took Rachel's scenario and made this the mainstay of societal norms. How this is, look at James' face palm right now. This is crazy. He has to endure this. I guess I'm the guy from Saw making you guys endure his rhetoric right now too. This is insane.
Like a short-term birth spike and then a long-term instability, Rachel. I'm sorry. I just don't see this to be like a sudden fabulous life that's going to make things better. Modern economies rely on dual income households. Advanced nations with higher female workforce participation tend to be wealthier, healthier, and more stable. And the data shows that, Rachel.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, I don't know what's going. Maybe James. That's insane. James, come on, man. Self-awareness is key, bro. They can probably hear him, but we can't.
Okay, so again, what First Amender does, he has no life experience. It doesn't sound like he's raised kids or have a family or anything like that. He just listens to liberal progressive talking points. He looks at data and he thinks he knows how the world works. I was not, again, advocating for some sudden shift. I was saying over time we can trend back towards mothers staying home. I'm not saying no women should ever work. As we both agreed, some women have always worked sometimes. Pre-childbearing years, you can work. Post-childbearing years, you can work. I think that's fine.
I think James is done. James is checked out of this.
Mothers need to raise the children, not daycare workers. We already have low-quality immigrants doing most of the daycare work and the raising of children.
First Amender is holding on by like threads. Rachel's like, yeah, I already cooked him in my opening statement. The rest has just been a wash for him.
I'm sorry to tell you, but it's generally uneducated people who are doing
Low
daycare.
quality immigrants.
It is. It's low. You said low quality. You said the care would
What makes them low quality?
would plummet. I'm uneducated people, whether they're immigrants or not. It's women.
You think an immigrant can't be educated?
Can I talk? It's my turn, so be quiet. The people who are doing daycare right now, for the most part, are low-wage workers who do not have an education. That's why they're willing to.
First Amender, why are you so gay?
Take a job for $11 an hour. Same thing with like elder care. It's mostly immigrants. Everybody in this chat will go to their grandma.
And the crazy thing is though, the level of disrespect, like she's talking during, and then he just leaves like during the debate. I don't care because they'll say, well, I have these headphones in and they're portable earbuds. I could still hear. But the fact that he leaves, like the optics were a nightmare for him. He got destroyed. He got his ass handed to him. He got, F-slurred appropriately. And then not to mention this, but he just gets up and leaves while she's just talking. Like this guy, the optics nightmare that this guy creates. I hope he does this during my debate, to be honest with you. It's just going to make me look better when he does this childish antics, these antics that he does.
Nursing home and see that almost everybody there is like a freshly off the boat immigrant. Okay. That's who's doing the care now. So what I'm advocating for is not this sudden change, but you're wrong. You're completely wrong. This would not be a short-term birth spike. If we changed the culture back to what has worked through all of history, we have thousands of years of history to look at. Things have changed, they can change back. And this idea that they can't is ridiculous. The only continuum is that things always change. This is not going to be sustainable. The birth rate now is not sustainable. So we're going to move back. Yeah, we're going to move back to women staying home and having more babies. We're going to incentivize it. The Trump administration and several other governments around the world are already doing this because what we need is more births for the workforce.
Based.
It will create
just
a huge
to be sure
workforce.
that we
So
have
he's just
equal
wrong.
amount of time
He's wrong.
for the dialogue. This is that time that I wanted to bring up that question, folks. We will go to the Q&A very shortly. Thanks, Bite Me XD, for your super chat, and Fat Ass Dogs, thanks for your super chats. As mentioned, folks, we'll have the Q&A in just a little bit. There's one last topic I want to get your guys' opinion on, is women's suffrage. In other words, if I understand right,
I do want to be straight up with my audience here and clear. I am going to wrap it up. We're not going to go to Q&A, and I'm going to wrap it up because I'm just doing the debate. I don't care about the other comments that weren't in my chat. I care about my comments that were in my chat because you guys showed up for me. Those guys showed up for them, and I appreciate their support that they showed up for Rachel and everything else. That makes a lot of sense. But I will say this. I am holding a stream on Thursday. I don't know if you guys are into survival horror, dystopian apocalyptic thrillers like the kind that First Amender mentions that aren't real in his scenario. So I'm going to hold this stream on Thursday, and hopefully you guys can survive. It's going to be survival horror debate. And yeah, it's going to get kind of bleak at times, but it turned out to be good. I did a test stream on this, and people say that they liked it. AG liked it, and a couple of other people liked it as well too. They acted, they sounded like they were in on it. The chat responded really well to this, but this is going to be a really good stream. I'm going to hold this. I actually look forward to it. I don't know, this may be the first of its kind. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a debate like this, but it's going to happen. Let's continue on with this debate into suffrage.
Amender, you would take the conventional view that I think the vast majority of Americans would take. You would say, yes, like it's good that women can vote. Now, Rachel, you take an unconventional approach and you say, hey, I'm going to shatter the conventional wisdom. I actually don't think that it was a good thing for women or America or whatever. We're going to give you a chance. Rachel, let's hear out your position because you kind of already know for some Amenders, like I said, it's kind of like everybody already agrees with them. Look at them over there, all self-satisfied. But Rachel will give you a chance to lay out your position.
Well, my position is actually the conventional wisdom. His is the brand new thing that's only been around for 100 years. And this idea that everyone should vote, I think universal suffrage is probably one of the most destructive things to democracy and freedom, actually, for multiple reasons. One is women and the female vote. I have a book right here all about it by a woman who loves suffrage, and she will tell you she's
Just
like
curious,
an advocate.
did you vote?
She's an advocate for it. I will tell you in a minute. The women's vote. This book is like a comprehensive study of how women have voted since they've gotten the vote. And the truth is that we would not have unbridled immigration, open borders, the welfare state, the nanny state, the NSA, the TSA. We would not have any of this were it not for the women's vote. The progressive agenda would have never gotten through, and it wouldn't exist if it weren't for the women's vote, because their female instincts to care for everyone and like make everything secure and limit risk and produce a nanny state and be the government is everyone's mommy and daddy now is why the progressive industrialists funded and pushed suffrage. It was wildly unpopular among women. Only about 4% of women wanted the vote, according to the like referendums that they did prior to passing.
I mean, I read 6%, but she's saying 4%. That's even worse. In a way that represents the fact that we don't need feminism. Get it the hell out of here.
19th. That's why women didn't get to vote on it. The suffragists themselves shut women down from being able to vote in referendums on whether they wanted the vote. And they said, women don't know what they want. They don't know what's good for them. We're just going to push this through anyway, which is insane. So no, I don't think everyone should vote. One person, one vote is a terrible idea. It leads to oligarchy. It leads to the kind of things we've been having since the year 2000, where nobody trusts certain processes in the democratic system. I don't want to say on YouTube, but we have a lot of doubt about our systems and what people are actually voting for and who they're actually voting for. Because if everyone votes and half the people or more don't have skin in the game, then what you end up with is a very corrupt system that basically leads to shadow government. It's just a front. So this idea, oh, everybody's vote counts. We just want everyone to have a say. No, they don't. If they ever thought that everyone would get a say, they'd never let you vote. Okay. So it's like they did universal suffrage as a front to have a shadow government. So I think it's a bad idea. I think women voting is a particularly bad idea. And the anti-suffragists, who were women, okay, so First Amender might be here simping, but the women who were against suffrage, which was a much larger number of women than who were for suffrage, said it's a bad idea because, well, I'm telling you what women themselves said. Okay, so he can sit here and make fun of me, but the women themselves, prior to the 19th Amendment, said it's going to split houses. It's going to make husbands and wives oppose each other. It's going to make women have to be equal with men in a way we don't like. They're going to have to do jury duty. What if they get drafted, which a lot of people have proposed that women should be drafted. And there are some countries where egalitarianism is huge that they do.
I've heard of this as well, too.
Do have females being drafted now, which is totally crazy. So,
and that the reason why is because I'll like take Israel, take other countries. I wrote about this in my book, The Female Warrior Fallacy. The reason why we have warriors, quote unquote, soldiers in other countries is because they ran out of people. There was such a shortage. That's the reason why. So when people go to justification for, yeah, they could be warriors, look at them, that's because they were obliterated so much and they started running out of manpower that they're like, now we have to have women because we're running low on resources that can be when we could dress them out and just send them to battle. I think that this is just crazy. It's not even a justification for any of this, but yeah, let's go on.
No, it's a bad idea. And it's not tinfoil hat at all. It's pure history. I'm just telling you what the women who were there said at the time.
You got it. First, Amender, what are your thoughts? Do you agree or you want over? Oh, What are you doing to the microphone? Okay, so no.
So weird.
Okay. So I asked you to unmute. Okay, you're ready. Oh, what? You're still
Hello, can you hear
muted.
me?
Oh, there you're
Can you hear
back.
me?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. For whatever reason, I got to change out my cable. Anyway, uh, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I think you have a very warped worldview. I don't think that there's honestly anything like Rachel, you and I are going to be able to
What?
come to an agreement on. You have a completely different.
This is the same guy that's going to be debating me that transformer women are women. So if he's calling her worldview warped, just understand that that's also his position.
Idea of what you would consider to be a better society. I mean, even if you're talking about a gradual halving of the workforce, really ultimately you're just going to be competing against nations that do double their workforce. And it is true that by doubling.
No, that's not necessarily true. He doesn't understand. The critical thinking is low on this guy.
Your workforce, this would improve the overall economy and increase people's overall well-being. But let me just ask this: like, do you believe in the concept of no taxation without representation? Do you think that that's a good idea?
I don't know how I feel about the concept, but I know that under King George, we were paying like 4% in taxes, and now we're paying like 50-something% if you include all the consumer taxes and the income tax and Social Security and safety net
I mean, we
taxes.
can talk about that,
We're
but
far, we're far
taxation
higher
without no
free.
taxation without.
Yeah, he opened up that Pandora's box, and now he has to eat all that. It's just crazy. It's making his point look even dumber.
Without representation. Is that a good idea or
No,
bad idea?
I have a Hoppian view of democracy. I think democracy sucks. I think Hoppe was right. I think it's the God that failed, and I think that it makes a lot of promises that
So
it
you're
never
not going to
delivers
answer the question?
on. No, I don't believe in democracy.
Okay, cool. So let's try it this way.
Yeah, still scrambling here.
Do you think, and I'm going to ask this fun question. Do you think that Beyonce is a part of a secret goddess cult? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that.
No,
That's not
I
what
think
you
that
wrote in your book.
I think she's a propaganda symbol.
Yeah, I think she's definitely a result of this. When she came out with Independent Woman, I do believe that, like what Rachel was saying, that when women are born, they're propagandized and hit with propaganda and so much brainwashing till the time that they pass away. Do you think Beyonce was omitted from this whole process? And that's how independent, like, we have to really think about all this. Like, Rachel really nailed this down when she said women are propagandists from the time they're born till, whenever.
I think that Hollywood and the big music industry, it's not a conspiracy theory. Have you ever heard of the Laurel Canyon scene?
I want to hear it. Go, tell me.
It's not tinfoil hat.
No,
look at this
go
little.
For it.
No, you're being.
No,
disgusting.
I want you to explain it. No, explain it. I'm just blocking the rays so I can understand what you have to say.
Do you know that almost all of the musicians from the 60s, like the boomer musicians, were completely. The Laurel Canyon scene, it was completely fabricated. So like the Beatles didn't write most of their own music. There was like one band that wrote most of the music for all of the popular bands in the 60s and 70s. It was all AstroTurf. Same thing with rap now. Look at the.
Of course, First Amender's not really taking this debate seriously. If I got mopped like that, I mean, maybe I'd be the same way.
The Diddy trial that's happening right now.
Okay.
That people have been talking about it again because it's always like one or two producers that just like Rick Rubin created 90s gangster rap. Okay. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's actual facts that you can go look up. Go read about the Laurel Canyon scene in the 60s.
Where does the occult fall into the whole?
It doesn't.
Okay, so then how does
what he's trying to do
work with like feminism?
What he's trying to do.
This is a reframing right now, and he's trying to say she's oppressive, and that's all this is going to lean towards, and it's just really fallacious argumentation.
Because he's getting his fucking ass handed to him by a woman.
Damn! Woo! I felt that from across the road. No wonder why he's drinking water, because he needs to cool off from getting just destroy. Look at James's face. Yes, you're gonna need to drink all this, drink the whole thing because you're getting burned alive, incinerated. This is crazy. James look for the win. Crazy.
Which he should love since he's such a simp. He should be like, yes, queen, please.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Stop.
Thank me more, mommy.
So gay.
Spank me more. But no, what he's doing is trying to discredit me by making me sound crazy because all I've done.
Yeah, because it does sound crazy. I agree. It does sound crazy. And I show you papers that especially number you go down, you think that it's stagnant. It's hilarious.
No, that was bullshit.
It's like a joke.
After this, I'm going to go to that link because I have it here and I'm going to tear your ass apart.
Do it.
Damn. Oh my God. Watch. Once I learn how to work my roadcaster, I'm going to have the sound effects. I don't even need that. This is so good. Rachel's just destroying the shit out of this guy.
Prove that you don't know data. You pulled something out of your ass hoping it would stick. And
you don't know anything regarding the statistical correlations either.
Oh, yes, I do.
What did you say earlier? You were like, he wants to come in here and say,
what he wants to do is pretend that I'm making an argument.
Because I definitely don't. I don't know how to read charts or do any of that, right?
I've never mentioned the occult. I haven't made a single argument regarding the occult in this at all. He thinks
your book made your argument for me.
Yes,
it was great.
That's not what we're talking about.
I recommend every single person to read her book, man.
That Rachel,
everybody should read the book so they can get the full story and find out that you're a lying sack of shit.
This is crazy. The bloodbath that's happening this whole time. Rachel, look at James' face for this. Is every time I just pause it, James' face is just it's crazy. The ass beating that just happened right now is crazy. And First Amender, maybe he's a sadist. Who would just line up to get their ass beat like this? This is just crazy.
Very
I didn't call him gay this time. He's disgusting.
I did.
You did call me an F-bomb. That's going to be...
Everybody hates this guy because he's slimy, he's dishonest, he won't argue in good faith.
Yep. I agree with all that.
Dishonest. I gave you the actual numbers. I can show you the charts.
I have to deal with this on the 4th. I know I probably said that a million times, but that's why I did this, because I have to see what I'm getting ready to deal with. Trust me, I'm looking at a lot of other First Amender debates, so you guys don't have to. This one I'll see because we can tolerate Rachel Wilson. The other person on the left, I barely tolerate.
The whole debate, all you've done is straw man me. You go, what about...
Actually, we don't tolerate her. We embrace her. She's like a family to some degree. Like, so for everybody else, like she's the person who you'd want to be family. We can map onto her ideology to everybody else in America, and we'd actually have less crime, believe it or not.
The occult, though. What about the occult?
Yeah, because it's stupid. It's stupid.
You won't address my argument. I didn't make that argument.
I did address your argument. I showed you papers.
My actual arguments.
I did. I addressed. I answered every single one of your questions.
Well, we're going to jump into the Q&A. I do appreciate, folks. Thanks for your questions. This has been a lively one. First
This is the kind of guy, by the way, that the patriarchy protected you from. This is.
Damn, that's good. That's gotta hurt. That's crazy. He's just taking these hits. He's a good pinata.
This is the kind of guy who would
look at James' face again. James' face. That's crazy.
Be your buddy until your boyfriend dumped you, and then
it's like his face is just frozen like this. He's a First Amender got his ass tore the fuck up in this whole debate. This is crazy.
And he'd try to get you wind up and try to make a move. That's the simp feminist.
What is happening?
For these guys.
Wow. The accuracy of this descriptive, that crazy.
What is this?
It's an actual mating strategy. It's an actual mating strategy to be a male feminist and be like, I'm not a threat. I'm just like one of the girls. I'm not threatening. Right, let me worm my way in there. That's what he is. He's sneaky.
It's denial by First Amender. That's what's happening right now.
Dishonest. He's gross.
I don't even know about me at all.
Straw manning me the whole debate.
All right.
And all the women in the chat know what I'm talking about. The ladies know what I'm talking about.
He's not, in his defense, he's not an offender. We don't have any evidence of that. We're gonna
I didn't say he was an offender. I said he's a male feminist, and male feminists are male feminists as a mating strategy. It's a legitimate mating strategy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I believe in like equality for pretty much everybody, which would make me a feminist.
You don't.
Yes, unfortunately.
You know that because you're not an alpha, you're not like an attractive type of a man.
And you know, it's a way to expose guys like First Amender. This is how you have them admit that they're feminist. Talk about an egalitarian world and just describe it as like fair, firm, and consistent and this and that. They'll admit to it. And they're literally admitting to feminism. That's like the secret trick on how to like unearth all this. Have that conversation because it sounds sensical to somebody on the liberal left. But once you start peeling back the layers, this egalitarian, all you do is just turn one page, boom, feminism.
And that a woman would want, that your only possible shot as a mating strategy is to be a male feminist.
Listen,
I think I look
to go,
okay.
ladies, I love you and I care about you and I don't like the big mean alpha men. Those big mean alpha men are
Why does it always come down and
damn crazy? First Amender is like walking cringe. I gotta hear the rest.
to like how I look? Like, why does there's no argument?
It's your attitude.
There's never an argument.
It's not how you look. It's not how you look.
First Amender.
I mean, you're the one doing it, not
I'll say it is how he looks. The Rick and Morty meme is correct. This is exactly how he looks.
me. I'm pointing
First
out the
Amender,
ridiculousness
I
of
hate
your
to
argument,
bring
and you
this,
just
it's
don't
like
like
two
it. You don't like
No,
me
you're
pointing
super
a mirror
this.
in your
You
face.
No, I hate to do this. Okay, First Amender. First, he is very masculine. Okay, it's
Just lying to him. James, stop lying. Stop the cap. This is crazy lying to him. You're too nice. And that's why nice guys finish last, because James, don't have this behavior. This is not how you get attractive looks by women, by doing this stuff.
I feel like I'm hosting a debate between Rachel and He-Man. So
Oh, that's such BS. The lies.
we're going to move into the questions. Now, want to do a couple quick reminders, folks. First, we're going to try to move fast because we do have a good number of questions, starting out with Bite Me XD says.
Okay, so that was the debate. Very interesting debate that we just saw. It's very interesting when we see these two people go at it because, I mean, really, I don't think they have closing statements. James does have closing statements when it goes to like religious debates, but for some reason he doesn't do closing statements when it comes to like these kind of debates. I will have like an open panel right now for like 15 minutes and I'll allow it if anybody wants to come up. But yeah, this is crazy. The guy was pretty gay when it comes to this. James lied to him and said that he was He-Man, masculine, and all this stuff. It's just crazy. Hey, what's up? AJ's rants and reactions in the chat. If you guys can come over and give this guy a like and follow as well too, that would be great. Just crazy. I should have a stop the cap thing. I'm a budding YouTuber, believe it or not, with I think, what is it, 1,000 people, subscribers or something like that. Anyways, just crazy, this whole thing that's happened. But stay tuned. On November 4th, it is going to go down. This is what's going to happen November 4th. It's going to be me and the guy you saw who looked like a Down syndrome Morty from Rick and Morty are going to duke it out. And this is the topic. And yeah. And that's actually how he's going to look. Really dopey. He's going to get destroyed and dismantled. And I look forward to this. I want to say what my secret weapon for the debate was, but it's going to be devastating for him. He's going to get another beatdown, another ass whooping. And I look forward to delivering this to First Amender. Now that I see, and we all see that he's going to be trying this BS and trying to overtalk and gish gallop and all this, it's just going to be crazy. So we'll see. Let's go back to the chat real quick before we bounce a little bit. Zinga Harris says, date grape physiognomy. Yes, this is crazy. Yeah, just a very interesting debate that's going to happen between me and him. Smokey says, What? That is a stupid topic. They clearly aren't women. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the word. Yes, I think it is really stupid. I definitely think it's stupid. We'll see what happens. Because it just depends on what level of ass beating First Amender is going to get. And I look forward to this. What's up, Gas Mask? In the chat, you're coming on the tail end of this debate review saga, and it will be extremely interesting. And it's going to be fun. So let's go ahead and kind of not only is it really interesting what's going to happen, but I think that I look forward to this debate. This debate's going to be awesome. So I have a podcast that's going to happen on Thursday, and it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. I don't know if you guys have ever done survival horror debate. Even if you aren't a debater, this is awesome to get into. This is going to be good. Also, let me see if I could play this. This is the intro to the debate survival horror stream that I'll try it and see if it works. And that is the intro to my new show that I'm going to have. It's going to be a very interesting show that I'll host. I look forward to seeing everybody there. Of course, it's a super long intro that I'm going to have. I look forward to having this show, and I hopefully people show up. I guarantee you people are going to show up. So the name of this show is called the Void Rot Cathedra. And of course, the theme in the title of the show is Debate the Unmaking, which means that your doom is at hand. Let's see how long you can survive in survival horror debate. So, I mean, traditionally, Halloween comes around this time of year, so I think it's right. I think that I will continue this tradition. If this show happens to be entertaining enough, I will have a survival horror Christmas special as well, too. Even like a St. Patty's Day survival horror episode as well, too. We're going to carry on this tradition of debate survival horror. I think that it's going to be a great time had by all. I'll give you a sample of one of the questions for the Debate Survival podcast that I'm going to be hosting. So, matter of fact, here we go. One of the questions that I'll ask is, in this test your moral compass, it tests your ethical standard of foundation as well, too. Dracula, 1931. Would you rather stake your best friend who's becoming a vampire ending their life, or let them live as a monster, risking them turning other people, which leads them to two outcomes that can then doom humanity. We will see if people can survive questions like this that deal with moral compass in debates and also ethics and standards. I know there are Orthodox Christians out there. If you are in a horror scenario, that's a world-ending scenario, would you risk yourself to save others or doom humanity? So anyways, that's been this episode of me doing a debate review. Also gave you a little preview of what's in store to come for Thursday's podcast and episode. It's going to be a crazy episode and really good too. If anybody's ever stayed for that episode, this one is going to have worse questions, crazier outcomes, and full of dread, especially for fellow people, fans of debating and argumentation. So I'm going to check out the chat right now before I take off. Yes, welcome to purgatory type shit. Yes. So that is the name of my channel. Well, actually the name of the episode that I'll be airing. Marte's channel is growing quick. I will host that episode once a month. The questions are going to be harrowing and crazy. Let's see if you guys can survive this kind of debate panel. Ken says, oh, that looks good. Welcome to purgatory type stuff. Is it a courtroom drama? No, this is a horror episode of survival horror in debates. I will pose questions to you. It does when it was or is Halloween's. Yes, right. It's spooky season. So yes, on the lines of your horror debate the other night, yes, it's going to be a more broad, encompassing, comprehensive version of this. This is going to be really good. This is going to be really good as well, too. So hopefully I can have the audience in attendance that night. Anyways, that's it. That's all for now. You guys press like, subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you guys on Thursday night. It's been real. This has been a really good episode, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Rachel Wilson is a badass debater, man. Like, I don't think First Amender had a chance. The guy was destroyed. Absolutely cooked. So didn't have a chance in hell, man. But yeah, I look forward to this. We'll see what happens. Vibe on the last comment before I leave. Very fun, even more fun if you don't get to choose what you are supporting. Test those debate skills. Yes. Because I'm going to put you in horror scenarios that are going to test your moral compass, your Christian ethical background, and we're going to see if you can make decisions out of two horrible outcomes and see where your head's at. Also, there will be an ejection option. This is kind of like a game show where if everybody sides with an opinion and you're the loser, you can be voted back to backstage. So yeah, this will be a survival debate episode. So I'll see you guys on the next episode. You guys take care. And I'm out of here.